Traveling the Vortex.
We've not joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex, because essential podcast services have been disrupted due to an unexpected forest. We'd like to reassure you that the situation will be rectified very soon, because this is episode 200. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
200 episodes old we are.
Can you believe it's been 200?
No.
Hard to believe.
Yes.
Am I not being heard?
You're talking over it.
I'll scrunch down.
Now you're in.
Maybe you should have the box.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh.
It angles.
200 episodes in, we've just discovered that Keith's mic stand has a pinch point.
That's a real good start to 200.
Only the best here at Traveling the Vortex.
Technical difficulties.
It's either a hinge
with Sean's mouth
or a pivot point. I tried to combine the two words.
It's a hidget point.
How's 200 faring, guys?
I feel so old. I don't feel a day. I don't feel an episode over 150.
Do we call this a bicentepial?
Ooh. I like the word. What does it mean?
I don't know. It just sounded good.
Happy bicentepial. Happy bicentepial. Happy bicentepial. Happy bicentepial. Doesn't flow off the tongue very easily.
Not as well as Epiversary.
Well, before we get to the festivities, how's everyone's week?
It was good. I had a great week. It was
Anybody do anything?
Wonderful week.
First, it
Been
was
up and
funny.
down with the Royals.
Then it was sad. Then it was funny again. I didn't really do much. School and work and school and the Royals. I was so angry. I've been, because I've been at work all these, so, I get the updates and I have to Google them on my phone. Of course, we don't have Wi-Fi, so, I can't watch anything. And of course, the Major League Baseball is like, no. That's pretty much it. Can I watch this online? No. That's where you're at.
Unless you pay for it through MLB.
Yeah, unless you pay for it. So I'm trying to find, and I can't even
Fox Go.
find a local radio station on the line. I have to download an app for that and then go to this thing. It's like, seriously?
You're not even supposed to be able to stream audio online. All the radio stations that I've gone to that stream normally online have the, sorry, we are not allowed to, or why. One of them was, why are you listening to an old broadcast? Well, that's because we're not allowed to stream the Royals game.
I finally found an app for a radio station out somewhere, I don't know, maybe your neck of the woods, somewhere out in western Kansas, that was playing the game, but it would pause every 5 minutes and then lock up.
To buffer?
I think so. And it would lock up. And then I couldn't get out of it. I'd have to reboot my phone to get the app to start again. And I would get another 5 minutes of it, and then my phone would lock up. And it was like, okay, this is very quickly becoming not worth it. So the other day I'm home, and I'm off on Saturday, and I think I could actually watch the game tonight. And then I thought, they've been doing really good without me. I mean, I haven't watched a game all year, and they made it to the World Series, so maybe I should just not. I don't want to jinx this, I'll peek. I'll take a little peek. I'll boot it. So I went downstairs and turned on the TV and flip. Okay, found the channel. And there it is. And it's the fourth inning. And we scored 3 runs in the 2.5 minutes that I watched. And I went, oh, awesome! And I turned it off because I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't need any more than that. Yay, team. And we went upstairs and did something and came back down later and 11-4 final. Oh. I haven't checked again tonight to see. If they,
I'm sure they didn't. They were down by 5 when you came in. And there was only another inning left, I think. Or they were down by...
Yeah, it was 5-0 at the time. I'm an eternal optimist. Let me pull this up and see what it says.
5-0.
So the good news is we've got one more game in Kansas City, at least. Hopefully 2.
Very hopeful.
They got to win the next one, and then
They'll have to win 2 more now.
well, they got to win the first one first.
That's what I'm saying. They got to win 2 more.
And they got to win the first one to push it to 7, and then they got to win the next one to win it all. But let's get through 6 first.
Yeah, that's true.
But the good news is
we're
we're coming back to Kansas City for that one. So yay! That's the most you'll hear us talk about baseball. Well, in 200 episodes.
Baseball. Every year, this time, it always impacts me greatly.
Because you work funny hours.
Not funny. He gets good hours.
I get awesome hours because there's no 9 p.m. newscast because the game's on. Because it's broadcast on Fox.
Oh, that's true. He works funny hours.
He ends up working late.
Yeah.
Well, not normally. This year they decided to force us to go late.
Well, because it was the Royals.
Yeah.
So I get if the World Series is going on, I get to work 10 to 6.
Huzzah!
Yeah.
How's that been?
It's been nice. Tuesday was the first day of it. We watched the first hour of the game and then switched over to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. live. And then Wednesday, I actually wasn't feeling well, so I ended up calling in sick, so I didn't get to take advantage of it. But then Friday was really nice. We got to hang out, and I don't think we watched any of the game. Just watched random stuff. It was nice.
Speaking of loser of the week, I really feel for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Going against the World Series?
No, the fact that they had this whole big thing planned with we're going to get the Agents of Avengers Age of Ultron trailer, and it's going to be played during Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Next week.
And then...
Ouch on that.
Darn Hydra.
That was the best tweet ever.
Wasn't even darn, was it? It was actually damn.
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that they were pulling it down as fast as it was getting posted, and then the tidal wave Marvel was like, okay, screw it. Here's the official trailer.
Well, if you cut off one hand,
but I'll still get to watch it with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Tuesday.
Yeah, it'll be old hat by then. But.
Yeah, but I've how many times have I watched?
What did you guys think of the trailer?
It's good. I liked it.
I liked it too.
I
like it too.
I liked it, and I went, wow, this really has that really awesome dark middle chapter thing nailed. It's like Empire. It's going to be so cool. And then I got scared because it's like, oh, I hope we don't lose the fun. Because it doesn't look like there's much fun in this one.
I think that was purposeful to make it look
ominous
and unnerving. It's a little bit unnerving, actually.
Yeah, that song specifically.
James Spader.
This will be the Empire.
Oh, and this will be
this version of Empire. It'll be the darker, more brooding.
No sign of vision.
Not in the trailer, anyway.
Everyone else. I look forward to seeing what they do more with Quicksilver.
I haven't been reading them, but there's all these posts online about we've dissected the trailer, and at the blah 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 second mark, here's the and why is Captain America time traveling? And it's like
it's a
flashback, guys. Come on.
Overanalyze.
As of yet, I could be wrong. I haven't seen the movie, but as of yet, I'm pretty sure that we've not been introduced to a character in the MCU that can travel in time.
Nope.
Having said that, I don't think Captain America's going to time travel in the movie. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say no time travel in Age of Ultron. I could be wrong.
I think you're probably pretty solid.
Yeah.
Right.
The odds makers in Vegas are probably not taking bets on that one at this point. That's what we should do. We should set up an odds making service, but just all geek stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
We could take bets on whether or not Cap is going to die at the end of Captain America 3. We could take bets on, how many seasons is Capaldi going to get as the Doctor?
Right.
How many seasons is Moffat going to get as a Doctor?
Yeah.
Probably we'd need a math whiz to figure out odds and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not.
I'm sure there's a
what's Hodges
calculator on the online.
Odds maker.
Let's not give Matt any more work than he's had this week.
And that kept us extremely busy.
Oh, my.
Yes. We're on our new server, folks.
Yay! I had to send 3 emails and 2 passwords. It was exhausting.
It just occurred to me, I don't know how to upload this.
So you might
I
not
may be
hear
making a
episode
call to
200.
Matt tomorrow morning. How do I get this to the server now?
Congratulations. If you're listening to this, it worked. If you're not hearing us right now, it didn't.
And we're talking to each other.
We will continue to record in the advent that this works.
We're not going to give up. Did you watch any movies?
That's what I was looking for. I went here and got distracted.
Did I watch any movies? I want to say yes, but for the life of me, I can't remember if I did. I know what you want to talk about.
I can't remember when I watched.
We did go back and pick back up on Walking Dead.
Oh, did you?
Because that was one of the
Did
group.
you start back over or pick up at season 3?
No, we just went and picked up. And Mel was like, I want to start back over. And I'm like, I can recap this for you.
Carl wouldn't stay in the house.
Carl wouldn't stay in the house. That's pretty much all you need to know. So then as soon as the pilot for 3, or the season premiere for 3 started, she was like, okay, I remember this. Okay, I remember this. And we were good, except for Andrea. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot Andrea was off in the...
Oh, yeah, she met Michonne.
The woods with Michonne. But we're 3 or 4 episodes in now, and it's picked up so much compared to season 2. It's unreal how much quicker the pacing is. And we just kind of really, I really, really like this show. I don't know why the group just decided, I'm done with that one. But
because season 2 was meh.
Well, season 2 was slow. It was very, very slow, but it's still compelling. And then David Morrissey showed up as the governor. And she was like, that's the guy that was on that Doctor Who episode? And I was like, yep. I'm not seeing it. Well, the good news is you'll get a chance here in a few weeks.
Oh, is that why you added that on?
No, I was actually going to do that. I was actually going to do that beforehand, but then once it came up, I was like, serendipity. If I watched a movie for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. So.
My Halloween Horror Movie Fest got kind of derailed with getting up early. But
cheers.
I did watch.
Wait, no, we're not going anywhere.
We're drinking the bubbly.
I did watch John Dies at the End, which is kind of
spoilerish.
No, actually,
kind of.
Well, actually, spoiler alert that he doesn't.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. So you release...
It's one of those movies.
You release a movie called John Dies at the End, and he doesn't? When? When is Hollywood going to stop lying to us?
It's based off a book, and the book's named that, too. The sequel of the book is called There Are Spiders in This Book.
Oh.
No, seriously, don't pick it up.
I thought the next one was, okay, no, he really dies this time.
It was written in post, in like kind of installments, and gotten feedback, I think, on Cracked, the website. It's a Cracked writer.
I remember when that was a magazine.
I think it was part of the magazine.
Does anybody remember that?
I remember that.
I loved Cracked magazine. You know what else I liked? Crazy magazine. It was Marvel's version with Noxio the Clown. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember Crazy magazine.
So, John Dies at the End is bizarre, but pretty good. Do you guys know the plot of it at all?
Not a clue.
Apparently not, because John doesn't die at the end. So
it starts with this guy, not John, who I expected, telling the story to Paul Giamatti in a diner.
Okay.
And there's this drug that lets him see ghosts and demons and things from other worlds. And so he's telling the story about what happened leading up to this point because of this drug. And it turns into this really bizarre alien invasion story. It has kind of a Fight Club feel to it because there's a lot of voiceover narration, and tonally it's kind of dark. I highly recommend it. It was bizarre, slightly funny, but good.
So Fight Club meets Buckaroo Banzai.
Kind of. No, not quite.
No.
I really can't. I don't know what.
No.
I don't know what to mix it with. It's so out there.
Arissa,
It's just bizarre.
I'm practicing because Arissa was complaining this week, and she says to me, so let me get this straight. At any pitch that I do for any project, I have to say, it's like this meets this. And I said, yeah, pretty much. She goes, I hate that. I don't want to do that. I was like, get used to it, girl. That's what we got to do now if we're going to make it in this biz.
It's actually a fair, despite tonally feeling like Fight Club with voiceovers, it really isn't like anything else. It's very its own thing, I think. So I highly recommend it.
She sent me, I haven't read it yet, I feel bad. I don't know if this is the script that she sent me or not. But she says, okay, so, stop it, phone. Where'd it go?
It's also got, I just blanked on his name. The Kruger in it.
The Kruger?
From Highlander.
Oh,
Not the Kruger. Well,
Krugren.
Kruger. Clancy.
Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, from Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, see, there you go. Well, there's your Buckaroo Banzai crossover. I also, afterwards, while he looks that up...
The problem is I'm charging my phone, so it's plugged into my computer. So every time I touch the screen, it thinks I want to do something with the computer, and it's like, no, I just want to look at the text message.
So then, since it was kind of Alien Invasion-esque, I went on to watch Slither, which has been on my list to watch for Halloween. That's such
a fun movie.
I love that movie. Slither.
Yeah, you didn't like that.
And then today, Sarah and I watched Odd Thomas. It was good.
It wasn't good.
There was a lot. I don't know if my enjoyment of it was heightened because I read the book, or
Yes.
I didn't enjoy it as much because I read the book.
Yes.
It's one of
Both.
those things where I liked it more because I read the book, but I'm disappointed in it because I read the book. Like, there's so much great character development that it could have been a longer movie.
Oh, yeah.
There needed to be so much more depth of character for Odd and Stormy specifically.
Well, and we
especially
didn't get,
considering how it ends, you need the gut punch a little bit more.
We didn't get Ozzy at
Ozzy
all.
was the one scene.
Yeah, just that one bit.
And they got Patton Oswalt for the one scene.
He's a brilliant character.
Yeah.
He could have been you could have done a whole movie about Ozzy, and I'd have been happy
Well,
with
and
that.
they made mention of his mom, but he didn't go see his mom like he did in the book. There's so much stuff that they could have put back in. But otherwise, aside from what they cut out, they didn't change anything from what I remembered.
No.
There was a couple little small things that they didn't include that were in scenes, but
And Willem Dafoe was awesome.
He was.
the
Anton
police
Yelchin
chief.
did
and
a
Anton
wonderful
Yelchin
job.
was so odd. Not odd in a bad way.
I don't know if I
odd the character.
Stormy. When I read the book, the movie Stormy was cuter than the book Stormy.
Well, she had to
Book
be. It's a
Stormy
movie.
was more steamy, sexy to me than the movie version was.
I hadn't thought of that. You haven't read or seen. Boy, where do we start him?
I got the book.
I think I have the book at home.
It's good. It's really good.
So good.
And the boat acts, I thought, was really cleverly realized. It's not how I imagined them. It's not how Sarah imagined them, but I ended up liking how
It's
they
not.
looked.
It's not what I imagined when I read the book, but once I saw them in action, it's like this is perfectly realized.
Yeah.
It's very, very well done.
So I highly recommend that one. That was really well done.
I don't know if this is the script Arissa sent me or not, but the pitch that she sent me is: think Short Circuit meets a non-racist Dukes of Hazzard.
That's funny.
I'm having trouble visualizing how to pitch that.
Just like that.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
I don't think I watched anything else.
Well, Hot Thomas. It
Odd
was,
Thomas
you know.
and the two movies and a little bit of the games. Oh, yeah, Saturday night, we watched up until the three scores, and then I was getting bored, so Sarah was like, okay, let's watch something else. And she had never seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So we
Really?
watched that.
How did that go over?
She said, what a weird movie. She laughed quite a bit during it, but that was just odd. That was just strange. I'm like, yep. And she was like, oh, I get that. I've heard that before. I've heard that before. There's a lot of those jokes where she had heard them before, but know where they came from. I don't know if it's one she'd go back and rewatch, but
At least you can cross it off the
Yeah.
list now and say, yep.
and she didn't hate it.
And that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the important thing. She didn't hate it.
She may not have loved it, but she didn't hate it. Which I forgot how the middle of that kind of drags.
Really?
I thought it, watching it, I thought it did.
Huh.
Like, mostly the Knights Who Say Ni show up, and then they leave and go do that other stuff, and that's the part I thought kind of dragged a little
Really?
bit.
Huh.
Wasn't as funny, at least. Well, it was Lancelot's bit, wasn't it? With the king and the...
Where he goes in.
Yeah.
The brave but dangerous Sir Lancelot of Camelot. See, I like that scene. It's
I do too.
I don't know, I just, for some reason while watching it, maybe I just wasn't in the
No
right mood for that
singing.
section.
No.
That
no
part I
singing.
liked. That part, yeah. I don't know. She was
You
laughing.
killed 40 wedding guests. Oh, I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to. You put your sword through them. Are they all right?
Sarah did laugh pretty hard at the bunny. Which, that was the scene where I was like, I think she'd laugh when the bunny shows up, but then when it starts killing people, I don't know if she'll really laugh at it. But she was laughing, so I was like, okay, good. She liked Sir Robin and the songs.
I think I saw my armor. I was so scared.
She liked the little touch of the chicken on his shield. Yeah, so there's a lot that she liked, and there was a lot that was kind of like, and the ending, I think she was kind of mystified.
That's the part that I think honestly drags a little bit, is once they get across the Bridge of Death, then it's like this huge, epic build-up to nothing.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get that that's the joke, but it's just like, I could turn this off right now because I know where the gag's going. I'm kind of done.
Yeah. So that was it for this week.
Come on, Glenn, tell us about Riddick.
So no, I haven't. I didn't watch Riddick.
You didn't watch
No, I
Riddick?
haven't got around to watching it yet.
Oh,
No,
I was so
because
looking forward to hearing
here's
your
what
review.
happened. Keith's been going through all these Halloween films, and I thought, I haven't done that yet.
It's only like a week away now.
I really need to get on par, which I'll really kick into high gear, because this week will probably be when I watch Frankenstein, Dracula, all those, because that's usually what I wait for Halloween week. But I thought, I'll go to Netflix and see what I can find.
Your Halloween is the exact opposite of your Christmas. I mean, they're both big holidays for you.
Yeah.
But Halloween, you traditionally kind of wait until you get to right
week of,
up on top of it, and then you cram as much into that right as you can. And then the day after Halloween, Christmas starts.
And doesn't end until like January 6th. So I wait. Okay, so I fire up Netflix. I say I'm in the mood for a horror movie. So I go to Netflix and I bring up the genres and I go to horror to see what's on Netflix and what my options are. And so as I'm flipping down through horror, it starts to categorize them. So one of them is movies about werewolves, and one of them is movies about zombies, and one of them is movies about vampires. And I thought I might be in for a vampire movie. So I start clicking across and scrolling through.
Netflix's vampire movie selection's not great.
Well, there were some good ones in there that I might have watched, but I clicked through and I saw Transylvania 6 5000.
I saw your post
I
about
went,
that.
I haven't watched that in a long time. Well, it's not really in the vein, but it's kind of Halloween-y. Okay, click. I hadn't watched that thing since I was a kid. That was another one of those HBO staples.
Yeah,
we'd always talk about.
I don't think I've seen that since it was on HBO.
I don't think
originally.
I had either. So I thought, I guess.
And I don't know that I finished it. I think it
sort
was
of
one of those that
remember
was
what
on
this is
right
about.
after Beastmaster, and then
And I got to watch it. It was one of those ones, as I watched it, it just all came back to me. And I was laughing. It was late at night. Everybody's in the bed. I'm laughing out loud. It's such a corny movie, but I'm laughing and laughing and laughing. And it's got so many people in that. I mean, I totally forgot Gina Davis. I knew Jeff Goldblum was in it, and I knew that. Why is his name escaping me? Ed Begley Jr. was in it. I had forgotten that. His name escaped. I'd forgotten Carol Kane was in it.
Oh yeah,
I had forgotten that Richard. Kramer. What's his name? Kramer from Seinfeld. Michael Richards.
Michael Richards
Was in it. I totally forgotten that was Michael Richards. And then, of course, Ferris Bueller's principal. I never can remember his name either.
Jeff Jones.
Yes, Jeff Jones was in it.
Or Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones.
And so I just absolutely lapped it up, loved it. It still holds up, even though it feels very dated. as far as an 80s comedy. I mean, it's very dated. I think it came out in 1985. But I finished and I was like, that was satisfying.
What's the vampire one?
It was kind of Halloween-y. It was like watching Monster Squad. I would watch Monster Squad around Halloween, too. It's kind of
what's the vampire one with...
Frighteners was on there, too. But,
yeah, that's a good one. Once Bitten?
No, not that one. The other one. The one with...
Once Bitten's a horrible 80s film.
Yeah, it's
one of Jim Carrey's films.
Hamilton. George Hamilton.
Oh, Love at First Bite.
Love at First Bite.
Oh,
it's
I love that one.
It's that quality of 80s movie.
It is. I need to find that one. That didn't pop up on there, so it must not be on Netflix. But maybe that's what I'll do. Is I'll just do campy horror movies until I get onto my actual Universal Monsters Fest.
We watched that. Oh God, it was probably. I think we watched that. Maybe we might watch that one last year for Halloween, and I laughed, and Mel laughed, and the kids just sat there like, "What are you subjecting us to?"
When he comes in with the gun, Leno's like 3 shots into George Hamilton's chest, and he looks down and he goes, "Silver bullets. That only works on a werewolf."
I love Richard Benjamin.
Oh yeah,
he is so committed to it.
He's so going to take Dracula down.
He's just, and the harder he tries, the crazier he gets. It's just...
Man, that's a good one. I should see if I can find that. I wonder if I could rent that somewhere.
I might own that one. I'll have to go home and
if you
look.
do, let me know, because maybe I'll do that. Not much else. I'm working late this week because they've decided to do a Fox show after the World Series to try to get eyes on our news. So we had to do that twice, and it went off seamless. It wasn't a Fox show, but it went off seamless. And then yesterday, we took the kids dressed up, and we took them to Boo at the Zoo, which is our big candy Halloween event at our zoo. And they have stations that have candy, and you walk through the zoo and you collect candy from each of the stations. Of course, everybody and their dog, once you sign up for their mailing list, hey, win this iPad or this, season pass to the Discovery Center. And we learned a long time ago, you do not sign up for those things because then you get inundated with junk mail. Yeah. And they call you like, hey, you want to buy insurance? So, but anyway, that's the kind of thing it is. They hand out all the martial art. Go to martial arts school. No, just give my kid the candy. And so we did that yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And then, I think we did something in the evening, but maybe we didn't. Maybe we came home and watched the game. So that was probably that. And then today we loaded the kids up and took them out to Gary's Berries, out to the Pumpkin Patch or Fall Festival, I guess it's called, and had a lot of fun out there. And then tonight we went over to my mom and dad's house because my niece is celebrating her 10th birthday. It's actually tomorrow, but we wanted to do the party tonight. So we went over there for dinner and cake and ice cream and opening gifts. So.
Did you make it through the corn maze?
No, we didn't do the corn maze because by the time we were one of those things where we were going to kind of wait until the end, which we probably shouldn't have because it's a 2-mile trek, and the kids were both wearing out and getting tired because they'd just been playing hard on all the stuff. Because they've got the bounce thing, and all the toys and stuff. You climb on the corn pit, the corn ball. Did you see that one where you?
Oh, we didn't go out there.
Corn ball. Oh, I thought you guys went out there.
We went to Myers.
Oh, that's right, you did go to Myers. No, they had corn ball where they have these big giant like inflatable. They look like a giant round corn on the cob, but they're like beach ball, so you try to hit them back and crossed over these haystacks. It was absolutely hilarious. I've never seen anything like that. But all that kind of stuff. And by the end, we were like, well, should we go to the maze? And the kids were like, we're kind of tired. So we're like, all right, we won't do the maze. That's about all I did. I don't think I watched anything else. I caught up on all my shows again, which it's amazing that we're this far into the new seasons of everything, and I'm still caught up on all the shows I'm watching.
Did you watch Constantine?
Oh, I haven't watched Constantine yet. Well, no, I saw the pilot, though.
Oh, you did?
So I have seen that one.
Yeah.
That's the only one that's aired so far, right?
Yes, yeah. So I had borrowed Flash and Constantine back when we got them for our
remember you
station.
Constantine.
Yeah, Constantine was one of them.
That was okay.
So that brings me to another thing, though. I had a little bit of an epiphany this week, especially as I was watching The Flash. Okay, so you remember, I think it was even 2 weeks ago, how I was complaining about DC and how they're doing it wrong. and the movie universe is not going to be connected to the TV universe.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these different shows on different networks that couldn't possibly cross over in any sort of way. And I was lamenting that fact again this week, and I went, wait a minute. I'm looking at this all wrong. I'm looking at this as what DC's doing wrong based on how Marvel's doing their universe. And it occurred to me that I grew up as a DC kid. I read Superman. No, that's not DC. I read Superman, read Batman, Wonder Woman from occasion, if it was a crossover. Just all of those DC. And I grew up watching the Super Friends on TV and everything. And so it occurred to me something. Actually, this is what happened. Was I was watching Flash, and I remember back to that kind of that hint to spoilers, the Infinite Crisis. At the end, where Wells gets up, looks at the computer, and it says the Crisis Project or something, Infinity Project or something like that on that computer monitor.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is a nod to Infinity Crisis. And so I went over and I grabbed I had my Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was the first big crossover event. And what Crisis on Infinite Earth was DC has been around for 75 years now. Even back in the 1980s, they'd been around for more than 50. And so what they did is they had DC always would create new superheroes, and so you had the Golden Age, the Silver Age, and the Modern Age. Essentially, it was just spans of decades of comics. When you had Superman, who had been around for so long that they really kind of rebooted his story or retold his origins quite a bit throughout the years.
Yeah.
Because they realized you couldn't have a 70-year-old Superman still, in the era that you were in, especially in the modern era. So what DC did in the 1980s is they decided, you know what? Everybody, and they couldn't cut the ties. They couldn't sever the ties with these old ones. So you had several versions of the Flash. You had several, and they did it sort of right with the Flash because they had, I can't remember the original Flash's name. They had the Mercury helmet and from the old JLA, and then they had Barry Allen, and then they had Wally West. And what they decided to do though is because through the course of the years they started creating what were called parallel Earths. So you had Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth Prime. There were other names for different Earths. But essentially what it was all of these superheroes resided in different universes throughout the DC universe, throughout the whole universe as a whole. They all had their own, basically, places they lived.
It was just the multiverse.
And the multiverse, exactly. That's what it was. They lived in a multiverse. And what DC decided to do with the Crisis on Infinite Earth is they decided, okay, we're going to kind of narrow this scope down. We're going to bring everything together, have one crossover crisis so that we can just kind of basically it was house cleaning. They were going to get rid of a lot of characters that had splintered off and done all these other things, and we had they had all these Elseworld stories. And so what they did is they had this one big crossover event where everybody came together, and the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor were basically brought everything together, and it was creating this crisis and basically had to be solved. And I could go as far as telling you how it was solved, but I don't want to spoil it. But there's a reason why it's pointed to in the Flash TV series. So they did that, which is wonderful. I loved it. I thought it was a great story arc. And then, of course, DC fell back into old habits, and they tried to do this several times. So they did 0 Hour one time. I think the most recent one was Infinity Crisis that they did. So they could actually Infinity Crisis.
Darkest Night one too?
Darkest Night, yeah.
That was the Green Lantern.
Yeah, it was. Theme. Yeah, that was when Hal Jordan went crazy.
But it went one step beyond that, where I haven't read it, but it was basically a zombie story because
the Black Ring
Rings restore life to death or something like that, and so they re-resurrected all of these dead superheroes and gave them black power rings.
Right.
And so there was this huge.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the way. And of course,
even Batman had a ring at one point.
Yeah. Because if there's one guy that needs a power ring, it's Batman.
I think I was done reading by then, but when all that happened.
That was more recent.
Yeah, I think that was even been within the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. Well, Infinity Crisis, the funny thing about that was where Crisis on Infinite Earths decided to narrow everything into one universe and create one Earth Prime. Infinity Crisis decided, hey, we've got all these superheroes that have been banished to death. Let's open this back up and bring everybody back. So they reversed it. But long story short, that's been DC's MO all along. So now, imagine this. Imagine 5, 10, 15 years down the line when we've established an Earth 1 in the cinematic universe, an Earth 2 in the television Earth let's just call CW Earth 2, and some of the other splinters, and you've got a multiverse now. What if, cleverly, DC down the road brings everything together in one epic Infinite Crisis event? And so you can have a Flash from the movie universe and a Flash from the TV show, and Gotham in another time zone on another network, and you bring everything together. I don't think DC and Warner Bros. Are smart enough to do this, but if they did, it would blow the minds of fans.
Yeah.
It would
way
make
more
it
than
so
anything Marvel's
epic.
ever done.
It would be so incredible. So actually, thinking along that lines and not being too hopeful that they will ever do that, because I really don't think so, but putting myself in the mindset of the multiverse, I'm actually more accepting of all of this stuff being kind of scattered out. So that was my epiphany this week.
That's a good epiphany.
Well, yeah. It's a good way to retcon it.
Thank you.
Are you listening, DC execs?
Yeah. I'm sure they listen to our show.
You can contact Glenn at travelingthevortex.com. He will give you all the ins and outs of how to make this work.
And I won't even take credit. I'll let you guys make the fans think you came up with this.
Paychecks, however, can be directed to Sean at travelingthevortex.com.
Well, I didn't say I didn't want money. I just said I didn't want credit. Except for some DC exec will stumble across this podcast. He'll listen to this one, and he'll go, somebody figured it out. All right, we got to do something different.
An emergency meeting right now at the highest echelons of Warner Brothers.
We got one guy on some Doctor Who podcast who's figured all this out. Dang it.
And the execs are like, what's Doctor Who? It's that other show. Oh. Why are they talking about...
Was that a Marvel title? Well, yeah, sort of.
Why are they talking about her stuff? I don't know, but this is just what they do.
Something about tangents.
If you're just tuning in, well, what did you expect?
Anything else this week? Anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we rolled up on a 20th anniversary or 20th epiversary episode or 200th.
20th?
Good Lord.
Our 20th 10th epiversary.
Yes, this is our 20th 10th epiversary.
See how I figured that out?
Quick.
I flunked a math test this week, but I figured that out. Well, I don't know that I flunked it. I'm pretty sure that I flunked it. C at
What did
best.
I say? Our Bicentepiversary?
That was so long ago, I don't remember the word.
Bicentepiversal, I think is what I said.
Is that correct?
I don't know. Should have wrote it down. I can't remember what I ate for lunch, let alone 20 minutes ago.
We'll go back and listen to the beginning of this. After all, it's not going to get posted. Not on our server. Some other else's server, maybe, but not on this one.
Well, you brought that up again. Now I'm nervous. All right.
Should we move on to news?
Let's move on to news.
Let's move on to
Unfortunately, we
news
start
in
off with
case Glenn doesn't remember how.
How do we do news?
A little bit sad news.
We'll go ahead and with this podcast in case I do remember how to.
In case, tune in next time to see if we're still on the air. We were talking about superheroes. I wanted to do more superhero stuff. Same bat time.
Same bat time.
That's the one.
Same bat channel.
I'm done. Go ahead. Bring me down.
Some sad news.
Don't bring me down, Bruce.
Linda Billingham has passed away after a fight against colorectal cancer. If you don't recognize the name, she was a regular in Trial of a Time Lord, playing the Inquisitor, the Doctor's judge.
She lasted an entire season.
Yeah.
Doctor Who. Cancer again. It's cancer in one form or another with all of these actors and actresses that are falling ill.
I'm telling you, the Doctor Who production offices.
That's why they moved him to Cardiff. Get out of.
Well, so this was also
Studio
colon
center,
or
television
bowel cancer. So it's a different kind of cancer than others.
It's all cancer.
Yeah, it's all cancer.
So it's the lead line paint in the studio. I'm positive that's what it is.
Just manifests in a different way.
Depending on the person's genes.
Yep.
Well, that's too bad. Thoughts, prayers, and meditations to her family.
Another bit of news, not quite as sad as this. Gareth Roberts is no longer going to be writing a City of Death book. Author and scriptwriter announced on Twitter that he's no longer working on a novelization. Instead, the book will be now written by author and former BBC Doctor Who website editor James Goss. James Goss's previous work includes Torchwood novel Almost Perfect, 10th Doctor audiobook Dead Air, and being one of the first authors to pen a novel for the 12th Doctor with the recent The Blood Cell. He also was a producer of Screaming the Shalka and The Infinite Quest. So no word really why Roberts was not going to do it. Maybe James Goss was just more interested.
So here's the thing, though, because, and I haven't read any of James Goss stuff yet, or listened to the audiobook, but Gareth Roberts, he wrote Shada, right?
Yeah.
In very much the same spirit as the episode that was penned by Douglas Adams. Mm-hmm. Now we've got City of Death, which everybody by now knows that's penned by Douglas Adams, even though it was written under a pseudonym. I really thought that City of Death would be in really good hands with Gareth Roberts because of his track record with a previous story by Douglas Adams. So I'm not saying that this next guy won't do a good job. It's just it's a little bit scarier now that I'm ecstatic they're going to continue with the novelization of it. But now it's a little disheartening that we may not get the same style that matched Douglas Adams' humor and wit.
I mean, no disrespect to Mr. Goss, but I go kind of one step further with it, that it goes from being an event book
to just another one.
To just another novelization that, we hadn't got that before. Big whoop.
And maybe he'll do it in the spirit of.
I would hope.
I'm sure he'll do it in the spirit of. The question is,
although
how
realistic though, Shada was more of an event book because it's the
unreleased.
It's because the episode was never finished. And this is probably the closest we'll ever have to a finalized finished episode. We obviously had the big finish episode of Shada with the 8th Doctor and Romana, and it fleshed out the story pretty much in the same vein as the episode. We've also had the release of Shada with the linking narration by Tom Baker. But to me, Shada the book was really kind of the definitive thing because it lets you into the heads of everybody, which books do really well when fleshing a story out. And it stayed in the same spirit as the way I believe Douglas Adams would have written it. And so, and right down to the fact that Gareth even said he used
scripts
Adams' notes.
Notes.
Notes in the scripts for things that. So, I guess we'll see. But that was more of an event book. City of Death having already been released and just being one of those particular stories that never was novelized, at least by officially novelized. Because I think there have been some fan novelizations.
But never an official.
So it isn't quite as an event level, but you're right. It would have given it a little more gravitas as an event book, having Gareth write it.
Well, I mean,
but now it does feel like we're just kind of in
for
line.
me, because I enjoy Gareth Roberts' writing so much in general, plus the added bonus of knowing that he can handle Douglas Adams material, it went from being an automatic must-purchase to now it's kind of a mild curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what the guy does with it, but I don't feel like I have to own it.
Realistically, it probably went on more of a, okay, I'm going to have to check this out now to see if it's written in the same spirit and
make sure he did a good job
as Douglas Adams would have done.
Here's an interesting thought. I have no information if this is happening or not, just me spitballing stuff, but wouldn't it be interesting if Gareth Roberts took the book of Shada and got permission from Douglas Adams' estate and yada, yada, and they went to BBC and they did a telemovie based on the book for, I don't know, an upcoming anniversary date, kind of like,
that'd be kind of cool.
Kind of like we got the Adventure in Space and Time, and we just say, it's a standalone thing for you.
Yeah, that'd be kind of neat. I'd be all for that.
And we got Paul McGann back.
Why not?
You listening, Gareth? Right here.
Ideas. Man, maybe he did co-write a story for this season. Maybe he's got his plate too full with Series 9 episodes.
Maybe.
Could be.
Or other original material.
Or maybe they've quietly announced that Moffat's leaving and Gareth Roberts is going to be the next showrunner.
I was thinking that too.
Could be.
We're really spitballing things now.
You heard it here first.
All kinds of outside the ballpark.
There's going to be rumors all over the internet tomorrow. Gareth Roberts is a new showrunner for Doctor Who.
There was much rejoicing, followed by, "Aw, really, that guy?" And fandom was split asunder.
There's a call out to all 17 of our listeners that we want you to make it go viral. The Vortex boys have said that Gareth Roberts will be the next showrunner for Doctor Who.
We could hardly be any. Could hardly be any more wrong than any of those other guys they've been talking about.
Hey, at least this person's written for the show before.
This just in, Eddie Murphy's taking over as showrunner of Doctor Who. What?
Don't even say that.
He will now work himself into every episode.
Don't even say that.
Next bit of news. The BBC America have now announced the
I don't even
Series 8.
imagine.
It's just awful, isn't it?
Details for the Series 8 box set, which will be released December 9th. And it includes some additional bonus features that isn't on the UK version.
Oh, really?
Including exclusive footage from London post-premiere Q&A, exclusive episode commentaries for several episodes, the Fox's Don't Stop Me Now music video, and the Deep Breath Live pre-show and after Who Live hosted by Chris Hardwick that aired on BBC America before the premiere.
Okay, so is it just me?
And a tour of the
Before
TARDIS.
and after.
Yeah.
Is my pulse so far from or my finger so far from the pulse of pop music? They made the announcement Fox's was going to be on a thing. I had no idea who the person was.
I didn't either.
I don't know who it was.
I didn't know that.
I still don't know who that is. Who is that?
I didn't know it was a Who.
She was that person on the show.
Oh, the one that did the Queen cover?
Yeah. I didn't know that it was
The one that I got music for last week to put there 2 weeks ago to put the show.
I didn't know it was a her. Foxes. That sounds
I saw
like a
the picture
band,
of
not
the
a person. You
when
know,
they
I figured
announced.
somebody went around canceling people.
Joss Whedon's arch nemesis.
and I'm done. Can't top that one. Just move on. Way to Americanize that. I felt kind of bad that everybody made such a big. I'm not like.
Oh, the BBC made a big hubbub.
Well, yeah,
about
but I
it.
mean, like,
and she had one shot.
Kylie Minogue. I know Kylie Minogue. That's kind of a big deal.
Well, she also had a bigger role.
Foxes might be huge over there, though. She might be one of those.
Well, that's
UK
what I'm
pop
asking.
artists
Is it
that-
just?
yeah.
Am I so
Why
far
do we
removed
get
from?
it though, and they don't? If that's the
Is
case.
she a Billie Piper of pop's artists
Did I
that
tell
we
you
didn't know who she was until she started acting?
I'm gonna get it and bring it in. Did I tell you guys we got Billie Piper's album at the store?
You mentioned
on CD?
it. Have you listened to it?
I have not listened to it yet.
You should buy it just to put in your.
I want to put it on the Doctor Who end cap, and Matt wouldn't let me at first. What are you doing?
I forgot that I had taken some pictures I was going to post earlier.
Oh,
Proceed.
you
Carry
should.
on.
Well, you put things down and start
Nothing
to
to see
panic
here.
and turn towards your computer. I get worried.
Nothing to see here.
It's like we're not going to get this posted or something.
That is still highly possible.
I think the episode title of this one should be The Episode That Never Was.
Let's not jinx it now. That might be going just a little too far.
Too far.
I don't know. Foxes. Oh wow, she sang, and she didn't even do the whole song. It
was a clip.
It was just here's a segment.
Well, she did the whole song. They
obviously they did the whole song, but we didn't get to see the whole
it's
song because
the music video was posted online.
Oh, I didn't.
In fact, it had some clips of episodes
Future.
to come.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's weird. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
I thought the casting was weird too. When it could have just been any faceless person that. But maybe over in the UK, gives a good squee. I don't know. Our last bit of news: the BBC is going to release a new children's game featuring Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, called The Doctor and the Dalek. Going to be written by Phil Ford, aimed at 6 to 12-year-olds on getting more people into computer coding.
Ooh.
So those of us that don't know anything about computer coding, we can play this game and learn it.
I look forward to my 6-digit salary coming in now
Yes,
because I'm gonna learn some computer coding.
Thanks to Doctor Who.
Wait a minute. Is that what you've labeled
Labeled?
the Doctor and the Dalek?
That's what it's called.
Great. Kids all around the world will be creating Daleks to take over the Earth.
There's even a trailer or something of that sort. to announce it.
And Phil Ford also wrote
Episodes.
well, obviously episodes, but Gunpowder Plot, didn't he? I was trying to keep it within the game references here. Sorry, dude. I thought maybe you'd know off the top of your head.
I do not know off the top of my head. Let me go to.
Or maybe it was. No, it wasn't Eternity Clock. It wasn't that one.
I don't know.
I think he's done several of the online games. I could be wrong. I guess one other piece of news. I apologize for not bringing this up prior to. Did you guys happen to see the post that we linked to on our Facebook page that AMC is apparently going to take over the financial runnings of partially the financial runnings of BBC America.
They now own 49%.
Yes.
Of BBC America. Phil Ford wrote a lot of games.
I don't even know.
Very eloquent.
I don't know what to.
Does it mean anything?
Well,
I don't know.
That's just it. I don't know what to think about that because, I mean, it's just a network running another network is all it is. I don't know.
Not unheard of.
I don't think it's going to affect Doctor Who any either. So.
No, I think more than anything, it was done to kind of give because AMC has Walking Dead. And BBC America has Doctor Who.
Well, and Orphan Black.
And Orphan
Black.
But they have Doctor Who. And I think it gives AMC now a little more push with the cable providers who are gobbling up everything.
Well,
when they can say, hey, look, we've got these 2 shows now.
And I think it adds a little bit more weight and puts better attention to BBC America, especially since they've been creating their own content for a little while now.
Yeah.
So not
as much as you'd think. Most of BBC America's programming has been reruns of other shows.
But they do have
original content.
Intruders is a new show that just started. Copper, I think, was a BBC America show.
Obviously, the aforementioned Orphan Black.
Orphan Black. So they're starting, and ABC or AMC buying part of the company could help them develop even more original content.
Right, because AMC's got a pretty good track record going between Walking Dead and Mad Men and whatever else is on that
Breaking
channel.
Bad was on AMC, wasn't it?
Was it?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, Breaking Bad was an AMC.
Yeah, okay.
So
Breaking
Better
Bad.
Call Saul is going to be on AMC.
Yeah, so they've got a pretty good track record there of that. So
Just another reason for them to make more money.
Yeah.
Monopolize cable television.
It's a business deal. I doubt we'll see much of a difference.
you said Phil Ford did write several.
He wrote City of the Daleks, Blood of the Cybermen, Shadows of the Bicentepiversary, and the Gunpowder Plot.
Okay, so he's done
5 games now.
all of them.
Not all of them. Well, Eternity Clock wasn't on there.
But that's not an online only.
Yeah, I don't know how many other ones there were.
These are all the ones that were on the website, right?
Oh, they were downloadable.
Oh.
PC games.
Okay.
And apparently available to play on a TV with a remote, according to the 5-ish doctors. His kids were playing the game on there. Didn't look like... It was Amy they were playing, so it didn't look like Eternity Clock. I assume in the UK they can play it differently.
I think they just made that up.
You think so?
I think it just needed to be, hey, we need a Doctor Who game that's not a classic Doctor game. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Oh.
Keeps disappointed now.
Do you know what it was? It was Metroid. Because if you get far enough along, Samus takes the helmet off, and she's got red hair.
It's Amy.
It's Amy. Ooh.
Did you post that?
I did. It's on Instagram.
I can't like it from your phone.
Go ahead. It might look weird. If
Glenn liked his own photo.
Yeah. Well,
that
you
looks
did do
great.
that.
It was an instant like.
But Keith hasn't liked it.
Now
Just the
I
one
have.
photo, not the second.
Keith's kind of a...
I had to scroll down to it.
Yeah, I guess that was before that. Again, talking about things that listeners cannot see right now.
describe what
However,
you did
if
there,
you go
Glenn.
to Instagram, well, I've been working on this is actually where my office used to be, but now that I have the Mac laptop, I'm upstairs with it most of the time. The office has kind of become... In fact, we sized...
Storage.
Well, no. We sized down the desk because we're making more of it, because Holly scrapbooks, but she's always had this little tiny corner of the room. And so... Several months back, we kind of she got stuff for Christmas last year, but we finally got out and put up they're like organizing shelves and stuff that are specifically for scrapbooking supplies. And we've been extending her part of it because she needed more area to work, which understandably so. And so I kind of consolidated down in the corner, but the walls are kind of mine. So she didn't need anything up on the walls except for one shelf on her side of the thing. And so I kind of started consolidating my Doctor Who photos, and I thought, well, I just need to kind of bring all of my Doctor Who stuff and start putting it up here. So I had bought that poster that you pointed me in the right direction at Vintage Stock, got it framed, and then I kind of redid that wall where you see the right now I've got just Doctor Who photos. In fact, there's one missing. That is, well, there's two because I can't find my Daphne. But there's another one that I haven't got up, but it'll probably go on the other side of the Daleks. I'll do another row down that side of the posters. So, but what I've done is I've arranged some of my favorite autograph pictures around the clock that I got for Christmas last year, which is in the center there, and then the Dalek poster on the left-hand side. And it's coming along. I've got a lot more to do. I think I'm going to put a shelf up for some of my figures that'll be further to the left or to the right of the photo, above a cabinet that I've got sitting there. But I don't do much down there on that desk anymore. But I needed a place for all of my Doctor Who stuff, so that's going to be kind of where it all goes. So
it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I was happy.
And the wood paneling kind of gives it that, Fourth Doctor
that wood paneling.
backup control room.
All of this is going to come down. The wood paneling is going to get probably painted. It'll still be wood paneling, but it'll at least have color against it. And then go back. But that's going to be down the line because we've got a lot of other painting projects to do. So I wanted to get this stuff up and out of the way so it didn't get broke or smashed or anything. Sorry,
looks good.
I derailed us again.
That's it for news.
Oh, so I did it at the end.
Thanks for derailing us.
Yes.
What's after news, Glenn?
Feedback.
In the forest of the night, I go walking after sleep, through the jungle of doubt, to the forest so deep. I know I'm searching for feedback so undefined, that it can only be read by these eyes of mine, in the forest of the night. Yeah, you get a chorus and everything now. I'm not sure about life after this. Missy's not much of a spiritual man. Baptized by solar flare, I wade to the forest that runs to the promised land. See what I did there? In the forest of the night, I go walking after sleep, through the reveal of truth, to the forest so deep. We're at the end of the season, only 2 left to go. We're all carried along by this week's show, in the forest of the night. You guys can feel free to sing along at this part if you want. We're just going to fade it out now. So
in the middle of it, I go walking 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 in the middle of it.
Yay!
Bravo!
There's a 200th anniversary treat there.
And special props to James, who suggested that.
Oh, thank
yeah.
you, James.
At about 6 o'clock this evening. A little crash course in writing.
Yay, Sean. Nice job.
Our first bit of feedback is a bit of audio from Dr. Phil.
Let's give it a listen.
Happy 200th episode to everyone at Traveling the Vortex. Hey, it's Dr. Phil. Just wanting to wish you guys a very happy 200th and to 200 or many hundreds, many more in your future. Hey, I just wanted to send in some feedback on the latest Doctor Who episode. The Force of the Night, I really wasn't a big fan, and I'm totally making this up because I'm sending this in early so I don't miss getting it in for your 200th episode. So totally made that last bit up. Really excited that Keith is diving into Gallifrey. The first season is kind of like 2005 Doctor Who. There's some small threads going through, but after that it's really season arc heavy for seasons 2 and 3, and then after that. But highly recommend it. You're going to enjoy it, and I won't give anything away. But I definitely want to hear what you have to say when you get to the end of season 1, season. Oh, who cares? Anyway, I did post some stuff about Amadeus from 2 episodes ago, but really enjoying your discussions on Flatline right now while I'm sending this in. And I would have so already donated for your patron page, but yesterday I totally smashed a glass tabletop, and so there goes. So at some point there'll be some money to send in to support the podcast. But anyway, highly endorse it. I think everyone should, and myself included, should support Traveling the Vortex. And anyway, just thought I'd send in a little feedback. And Keith, enjoy the double header of 2 K9s. And I think Romana and Leela, although, listening back to Zagreus, it's a good start. I'm not exactly sure I really buy into Louise Jameson's portrayal of Leela in Zagreus, but everything she's done for Big Finish since then has been absolutely fabulous. So, you got to start from somewhere. And I'm one who has a soft spot for Zagreus because I listened to that one early on in my Big Finish fandom. So anyway, reminds me I need to get my iPod fixed so I can sit down and listen to all of Gallifrey again. I try to do all of Gallifrey once a year because I think the Lalla Ward and Louise Jameson are both great contrasts for each other. And since we lost Linda Bellingham to cancer, the Inquisitor, or in Gallifrey, as you'll notice, Keith, Inquisitor Darkel, she gets a name in the Gallifrey audios, that maybe now is a really good time to be listening to those audios because she plays a large role in those. And Gary Russell had mentioned a lot about the West Wing, but that the idea of doing a Gallifrey series goes back to, I think Graham Williams had the idea after Invasion of Time of setting an entire season series of Doctor Who on Gallifrey, and that he abandoned that idea in favor of The Key to Time. So it's kind of neat that Gary Russell kind of grabbed that up for Big Finish to use that there with a mixture of all the political gaming that goes on in the West Wing. Anyway, you're in for a treat. So anyway, you guys have a good one. Sorry to ramble on a bit, and happy 200th again. Bye bye.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Dr. Phil.
You all heard it here. Dr. Phil says, give us your money.
I did start the next Gallifrey, but I have not finished it yet. So I'm in the middle of it.
Ah.
So I'll give my 2 cents when I finish it.
I guess I just won't put them on the schedule then. Because you're reading ahead.
Go ahead. Put them on the schedule. I guess I can pause.
They won't be on the schedule through the end of the year. How about that? I can make that commitment for you.
They're so good. I listened to all of them last week. So
Did you really?
yeah, I just didn't want to bring it up. No, I didn't. Although it was on a Big Finish kick there for a while, wasn't it?
Well, then I guess I won't tell you that I did listen to them all last week. So I'm not going to step into that bear trap. No, sorry. I'm just going to sit here and keep quiet and sip my Coke Zero.
Since we've all listened to the first one. Let's go ahead and review it at the end of the.
Okay, so there's Gallifrey, and there's political intrigue, and it's kind of like Game of Thrones without all the swords. It's awesome.
There's a few other things.
And no weddings.
Fooled you have to wait.
Thank you, Phil. We sure appreciate it, and thank you for the wishes on the 200th episode, and good luck with the rest of us reviewing Flatline. I'm sorry.
I'm curious to know what the story is behind the glass table, though.
I am a little bit too. It sounded like you were driving, Phil. I gotta express my concern.
No, not only was he driving, he wasn't driving this time. He was recording feedback, because that's what we're always concerned. He's always driving. I think he was recording feedback. He's like, I'm going to play it safe this time. I'm not going to drive while I record feedback. And he started to record his feedback for this show, and he had an unfortunate accident with the glass table.
That's good. But in my head, you know that scene in the movie where there's a car chase going on? And then it cuts to that random side street, and the two guys are carrying the pane of glass across the street. Only in this case, it's a big, giant glass coffee table. And here comes Dr. Phil. That's how, in my head, that's how it went down.
Oh, that's good, too. I like that.
And apparently Dr. Phil drives a really fast ZR7 or something.
Poor Dr. Phil. Yeah, we actually make him sound like he's a bad driver. He's not. He hasn't wrecked a car recording yet. So.
Or listening and laughing.
that we're aware of.
Or listening to us and laughing and running off the road.
It's totally our fault. He's not a bad driver at all. We're just such a distraction. Our
So
podcast should
entertaining.
come with a warning label, is what it is. I shouldn't say that too loud because Dr. Phil could turn around and sue us for not having a warning label on there, and that would...
Hurry, add one to the disclaimer on the website.
Go ahead. He won't get much. How much is on our Patreon account? Before you sue us, Phil, though, go ahead and send that contribution.
Actually, if he sues us, then he'll have money to send. So. I figured out your scheme, Dr. Phil. We're wise to you. Oh, Lordy.
All right, let's move on.
Lots of other feedback. Next up, Mark.
Well, we already had a first up.
We had a first up in non-audio form. I am the very model of a modern major feedbacker.
You didn't sing it.
I kind of did.
I am the very model of a modern major feedbacker.
See? That's all you had to do.
Hi, guys. I wanted only yesterday. Sorry.
Can we read his whole... No.
It seemed only yesterday that you guys were discussing how to celebrate your 50th anniversary. Sigh, I'm getting old.
Believe it or not, Mark, we're still discussing how to celebrate our 50th anniversary.
And every anniversary since then.
Just hasn't quite come together yet. We're working on it.
Maybe for 250th. We'll
get there.
We'll get a good idea.
We'll actually have an idea ahead of time.
But just wait till we release the 50th anniversary director's cut. It's going to be awesome.
That's what we're going to do for the 250th.
We reached back in the vault. Figured out how to do the 50th.
We're going to pull a Casey Kasem and...
Going all the way back in the vaults this
200
week.
episodes later.
I thought I'd put today's feedback into a poem for absolutely no good reason. But it happened, and here it is. Traveling the Vortex. 'Twas episode 10 when I climbed aboard, preceded by feedback not gone ignored. Quickly it became a podcast unbeaten. From tangents of light bulbs to Will Wheaton. Many hours spent. I can't do the math, but less screams have been caused by the Merca's wrath. Thanks to Keith, Glenn, and Sean, spelt like the sheep. Sorry, I've been both entertained and put to sleep. But that's not to say their discussions are boring. Quite often, things to repeat have woken up to them on a Tuesday morning. You could have at least brought me a drink first. Lots of love going. Bravo, Mark, for that poem.
It was very beatnik, so I was doing the snaps. You don't get it.
I get it.
Oh,
I get it.
yeah.
I was
Of all of us,
giving
I
you-
think he has more coffee street cred than
coffee house cred.
Coffee house cred.
And I am bohemian. Come on.
Yeah.
Lots of love going your ways in celebration of your 200th episode. I have lots of catching up to do on your show, but I never fall behind on listening for long. All the best, lads. From Mark McMarmite.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mark.
Lovely poem.
We should post that somewhere.
Yes, we should. If only we had a place to post that.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to print it off and hang it on my fridge.
See if you could do that in your refrigerator poetry. You move all the words together.
Ooh.
And get all of the exact.
I don't think I have some of these words. Podcast is going to be a tough one. Pretty
Will
sure.
Wheaton.
Light bulb. I don't know about that one.
Keith, Glenn, and Sean.
Merca.
Merca, yeah.
No, Merca's in the set.
Oh, is it in
yeah,
the set?
It's in there.
Ooh,
That's the set I have.
That's what we should do for our Patreon members. We should get a flat magnetic board and we'll cut it up and we'll write Doctor Who words on it.
Doctor Who poetry.
Doctor Who refrigerator
magnet.
poetry.
Because that'll be a huge callback to the nobody who submitted their Doctor Who poems when we did that one. All of our listeners are uncultured swine. Nobody submitted a poem with that. I try, and I work, and I slay. But nobody wanted to play along with that game.
Second chance, listeners.
Here's one listener that's not uncultured swine, Holly. She has our next feedback.
Holly writes, happy 200th episode. Hey guys, first off, congratulations on 200 episodes. I'm still having trouble saying it.
It's
200 episodes. It's a mouthful. Lots of great memories, that's for sure. Here's to another 200. Thank you, Holly. In the Forest of the Night, I enjoyed this episode. We get to see Danny and Clara in their roles as teachers, and the Doctor interacting with... Now, how is this pronounced? I thought it was Maeve. Like Maeve with a V, but it's not, apparently.
Maeve.
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 With the little girl at first was just touch brass. But he was the one to realize that she also knew that something was going on. All of the kids working together to help out was nice, and them all in the TARDIS touching the console was probably one of the Doctor's nightmares come true. Loved Danny's talk with Clara at the near end of the episode. We see Missy again. I'm wondering if she didn't have something to do with the solar flares in the trees. Hard to believe that next week we're heading into the 2-part finale. It's been quite the ride. I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on this episode. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
And thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly. Maeve.
Maeve.
Mabe?
Maeve.
Mabe?
Maeve.
Mabe?
I can't say it.
Okay.
I thought it was Maeve with a V.
That's what I thought, too. And then I saw it spelled out, and I'm like,
But everybody's
what the heck
spelling
is
it
that
with a
name?
BH, and I'm like, who is this? Oh, really?
Mabe?
Maeve.
Mabe?
Maeve.
Mabe? BV?
No, not Maeve. Maeve.
Mabe?
Shouldn't it be Mabaha?
Give it now.
Capaldi?
You got that one.
I have a U in my name. I'm well aware that I have unusual spelling, but BH?
Cool.
Oh, she's Welsh. That totally explains it.
Maeve.
Maeve.
Up next is Megan, who spells her name correctly. I have a sister named Megan, so I can weigh in on this.
Megan writes,
See, there's no H there. That means it's spelled correctly.
Official Traveling the Vortex decree, from this day forward to the end of this podcast, all of our listeners shall have an H placed at the end of their names.
Megan writes, hey guys, happy 200th All right, okay, I'm sure
Subject line.
Subject line. There is? Oh, you don't look a day over 100.
Thank you.
Hey guys, happy 200th episode. I just wanted to thank you three so much for consistently putting out such an entertaining podcast. I always look forward to hearing your thoughts on the episode, after many a tangent, of course, and you have helped me get through many a commute, so thank you. I missed last week, so I'll give you my thoughts on Flatline. Quickly give you my thoughts on Flatline. It was pretty good. Well, thank you for giving us
Megan.
those. No, wait.
Oh, there's more.
I think I'm more. Oh, wait, no, this is an important part. I think I'm more in line with Glenn on this one. It was a good episode,
Why'd I give him
but
this
I
one
wasn't
already?
blown away by it like lots of people have been. Maybe it's because I liked the prior two episodes so much. This one was a bit of a plateau for me, which is totally fine. Doctor Who doesn't need to be the best episode ever every week. That would be ridiculous. That would be a ridiculous expectation to have. Side eye some of fandom.
Good point.
Things I really did like: the special effects of the melting coach and the 2D zombie thing. Couch. Sorry.
Oh, no, it is coach. I think she meant couch.
I think she meant couch.
Yeah, I think she did too.
Unless the coach melted and I missed that.
I didn't see Craig T. Nelson in it.
I got a very
Way to Americanize that.
I got a very stop motion vibe which I really appreciated and found very unsettling. The tiny TARDIS and the Tootis jokes were wonderful, and yeah, I laughed at the Adams family a bit. Adams family bit. I don't know, I can't have a term right. I can't talk words that aren't. No words come. Talk papers.
Heartbreak speech.
There's nothing about the episode I specifically didn't like, an irritating continuity error aside, and yet I still came away with a meh feeling toward it. Not sure why. Maybe I need to rewatch and see if my opinion changes. Even so, I still think the episode continued the strong run Series 8 has had.
I'm intrigued.
Well said, Megan.
What's the irritating continuity error? I'm assuming it's a production continuity, not a show continuity error. Megan, let us know.
I'm trying to remember back now.
I don't remember continuity error, but I liked it.
Continuity error aside. Yeah, Megan, you might have to redirect us.
Let us know.
We may have even talked about it last week. I don't remember.
That was then. This is now.
Which brings me to In the Forest of the Night. I swear I sat there thinking about what I was going to say about this episode, and all I could think about was the Next Time trailer for Dark Water. And I think that sums my feelings up. This was a filler, pure and simple. Not a lot happened, no monsters, and not enough character development to warrant such a plotless story. Granted, Danny got some moments to shine and Clara's line has been outed, which is nice, and the one thing I really appreciated was the Doctor saying the line Clara said to him in Kill the Moon. It's my world too. I walk your earth, I breathe your air. Absolutely wonderful character development and proof that the Doctor is in fact learning from Clara. This is probably the low point of the series for me. It wasn't terrible or anything, and nothing about it offended me, like low points in other seasons have done, but it was a bit boring, if I'm being honest. The Next Time trailer, though, wow, I'm not even going to try to speculate. I'll just end up looking like a moron. I'm just going to sit back and watch the madness as the madness ensues. I can't wait. Megan. P.S. So how about the Age of Ultron trailer? Is it May yet? Oh well, at least we've got Doctor Who still for 2 more weeks. Sad sigh. Did we talk about the Avengers trailer online or on show, or did we talk about that when we were doing our meeting?
It was on show.
It was on show. Okay.
Wait, this show?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that other podcast we record before this.
The Flicks with Friends?
Yeah, that nobody hears.
The one we don't have a server for.
Right. There's no server for that one.
Yet.
700 episodes of that one sitting in the bag, and we can't even release it.
Some of them are going to be so dated.
Some of the things we said in this podcast are already dated.
So this week
By this point in the podcast.
This week we're reviewing Gone with the Wind. That new film from that Zelnick guy.
Thank you, Megan. Up next is Brittany. Brittany writes, a message from the Promised Land. Maybe. Hey boys, it's been a while since I sent in some feedback, and I have many excuses, but the main one is that K9 ate my emails. Good excuse. This is just a quick message saying, congratulations on your 200th anniversary. You guys continue to be one of the highlights in my life. Please keep up the amazing work, and here's to 200 more episodes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the short message. Hopefully my next one will be sooner rather than later, and be about Doctor Who. I will say that I'm really enjoying Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor. I've also enjoyed all the stories in this series so far, though as I type this, I have yet to see In the Forest of the Night.
You were going to sing that, weren't you?
Now,
In the Forest of the Night.
Every time I see that thing, now it's going to be
score.
from here on out. That's it for now. Once again, congratulations, Brittany. I'm not going to read her PS because it didn't look weird. Her PS said, if this email looks weird, it's because I am typing it on a stupid smartphone.
Oh, well, Brittany, be assured it looked fine.
It looked fine.
Thanks for not reading that out to her. Right?
He looked at me like, why are you reading the PS?
Well, I hadn't read ahead. I didn't know.
Thank you, Brittany.
Up next is another 5-ish fangirl. This is 3 out of 5 now. Chrissy.
Chrissy writes, The Jungles of London. See, I read the titles of the things.
Subject lines.
The subject. Thank you. The subject lines. I don't just skip over them and get right to the
these
meat of
have
it.
subject lines on them.
What's a subject line?
200 episodes in, we've just discovered this. Dear Vortex Boys, after listening to Sean's road trip stories and Glenn's discussion of in-car entertainment, can I just talk for a minute about my own road trip experiences and why I fully support having a DVD player in the car? Many, many thousands of years ago, most of the western United States was covered by a humongous lake called Lake Bonneville. It drained into the Pacific Ocean at some point, leaving behind the Great Salt Lake and the Bonneville Salt Flats. You may have seen these salt flats in movies such as Independence Day and Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. In fact, go watch that scene of Jack Sparrow trapped in Davy Jones' locker and hallucinating about the rock crabs carrying the Black Pearl. Look at all that expanse of whiteness and nothing but whiteness. Now, imagine driving the highway that goes through all of that for 2 hours. There are no plants, no animals, no interesting rock formations to look at. Just salt flats reflecting the sun right back into your eyeballs, making you go crazy. There is a town called Wendover on the Utah-Nevada border, where you can stop and eat and get lost in the casinos because you're too darn sick of staring at a whole bunch of white nothingness. And you don't want to leave what passes for civilization out on the salt flats. There is nothing wonderful or pretty about it. Maybe for the first 5 minutes it's okay, because it's not sagebrush. But after an hour, you're done with this landscape. When I was a kid, we drove this stretch of highway between the ranch where I grew up and where my grandparents lived countless times, and it was the most boring thing in the world. I think the only thing more boring than to drive between Wendover and Salt Lake City was the drive across northern Nevada, where it is really nothing between the Utah-Nevada border and Reno. On those trips, I would have done anything to be able to watch a movie in the car. I did read a lot in the car, but those are some twisty and windy roads that make that prospect a little too harsh on the tummy. The greatest day in my young life was when I got a portable CD player, so I could at least listen to my own music on those long drives. So yeah, I'm not buying the see the glorious landscapes of America argument, because it was pretty dull and insanity-inducing. The location scouts for Pirates of the Caribbean chose well for that scene. I guess it could be worse. It could be Florida, with its interminable greenery that makes you feel like the trees are closing in and going to strangle the life out of you. After I left Jacksonville and came back home to the desert, sagebrush never looked so good. Or maybe that was just the jet lag. Either way. It's funny, because I know exactly the road she's talking about in Florida. And she is 100% right. I've not been through the salt flats, but she is 100% right about the foliage in Florida, man. It's like you stop looking for gators because you're worried the trees are going to get you.
Interesting.
I thought I had it bad with miles and miles and miles of the same looking farmland.
Yeah.
But once you get into the desert, western Kansas is beautiful. And just a side note, since she brought it up, I have a friend who has a really interesting theory about Pirates of the Caribbean. That specific scene where Jack's going nuts and he's looking around and he sees all the other Captain Jacks and he's interacting with them. My friend doesn't think that that's the effect of the desert or being dead in the Davy Jones locker. He thinks Jack's like that all the time. That Jack just sees other aspects of his personality. Which explains a lot, because if we go back and watch the first movie, Johnny Depp does this a lot, where he's twitchy and he's looking at things that maybe are not there.
Yeah.
And we finally got in on the joke in the third movie. I don't know, maybe. Chrissy continues. Enough road trip talk. Let's talk about the mysterious forests popping out of nowhere. In the forest of the night. I almost wanted to say it.
In the forest of the night.
I liked parts of this story. And there are parts that I'm mostly indifferent toward. I feel like this was a short story that they had to stretch out time to make it a full 45-minute episode. Like putting in the scenes of the Dr. Clara Danny and the Coal Hill school kids getting attacked by zoo animals. I did like... Let's see, she's got a V in it. Maeve. As a one-off companion. She was much more likable than Courtney. What?
You said it. Maeve.
She was much more likable than Courtney, or even those kids in Nightmare in Silver. If the Doctor ever has a child companion, I vote that he goes back for Maeve. I continue to like Danny and Clara's relationship, how Clara has finally had to tell Danny the truth about traveling with the Doctor, And while he was upset about her lying to him, he also recognizes that her travels are part of what makes her someone he cares about and loves. I felt like that confrontation, for lack of a better term, was a mature response for both of them to take in this situation. I like that they didn't have this big, huge blow-up when the truth finally came out, because that would have just been too cliche and easy. Lots of relationships in fiction have the great big fight. And while that certainly does happen in real life, the opposite also happens in real life. And it's nice to see here. The rest of the episode, I really didn't care one way or the other. I do think it's a little weird that they were going to burn the trees down to clear them, but instead of trying to cut them down, do they not have chainsaws in the UK? But I guess that was key to figuring out what the trees were actually trying to do in protecting the Earth from the solar flares. It's an okay episode. I didn't hate. I didn't love it. The pieces were good, but not enough to make it, oh my god, the best episode ever! It's just kind of there. I have no strong feelings about it one way or the other, which is probably okay, since the finale looks like it's going to be a barn burner. We needed a calm-ish story before the end. That's all for my review. Just wanted to put out a reminder for people to vote in the book club poll for what we're reading next month. The discussion so far this month has been pretty good. And I'll talk to you all later. Chrissy.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chrissy.
And a reminder to our listeners that we do have a book club, which you can find over at Goodreads, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How frequently I get over there. It's cool. And that Chrissy is doing a wonderful job as the matriarch librarian of the Goodreads page for Traveling the Vortex. And thank you to Chrissy for doing that.
If it makes it any easier, there is a link on our homepage as well.
So go vote and pick out a book for next month. And Chrissy, I think we'll get into our feelings on In the Forest of the Trees here in a moment. But first,
Odd Duck Phil.
Phil writes, looking for a subject line. Aha. Comment, question, comment, Merca, Interruptus, Scorby, Grumpy Bear, Dive, Space Buffalo, and
Hamakavula!
had to give that one a shot.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this! Oh, good. Okay, this is the word we're going to use. Happy Bicentepiversary. I think is what I said.
I think that's what you said.
Happy Bicentepiversary. And I can't read it now. Bicentepiversary. Yeah. Bicentepiversary. Who Pekins. Happy Bicentepiversary to Pekins. Thank you, Phil. I didn't even read that. That's awesome. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm in tune with Phil this week. This is crazy. This never happens. All right, except for when I
hang on, I'm tweeting a picture of the word.
That's awesome.
Talk about your serendipity.
Wow.
Glenn invents a word.
That's awesome.
And then it turns out Phil's already beaten him to it.
He goes on to say, no idea if that's a real word. It is now, I guess.
Oh, lordy.
He writes, thank you for 199, 175, at the least, 15 good, solid episodes.
15, really? That's kind of high.
Kidding, of course. This is coming from someone who admits to re-listening to old episodes.
We have a better track record than Lost.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
It has been an absolute blast listening.
Didn't get to 200 episodes.
It has been an absolute blast listening not only to your thoughts on current and classic Who, but various pop culture phenomena and even everyday life. Here's hoping you don't jump the Merca and make a 200 Eclipse show. We did that back in 100.
We tried to do it on a clip show. But
None of
wait.
us can remember any good bits from previous episodes.
Just wait till the 100th anniversary director's cut comes out, because
That'll be for episode 300.
I know I've read this, but I'm going to reread that line because it's crafted very well. I laughed through half of it. Here's hoping you don't jump the Merca and make 200 a clip show.
that's still funny.
I hope that this special occasion warrants a photographic... Wait, what? Warrants a photographic pimento of festivities. I'm betting Glenn's the only one to get that.
A photographic pimento.
I didn't even get it.
A pimento?
Photographic
Pimento.
memento. Photographic pimento.
Photographic pimento.
It's photographic. Memento is what the actual words would be, but I don't know why they would be changed to photographic.
Did he anthropomorphize that word?
I bet he did.
Oh, Keith looked that up.
I'm Googling it.
All right. One, assorted...
Clever boy.
One, assorted Who's stuff from Odd Duck Phil's week. So, my mom is in town, and after the kids went to bed, she and my wife were discussing Christmas presents. My wife is using Amazon for the grandparents to see all the potential gift ideas. My mother then asked, which kid is the Doctor Who light and sound cookie jar for? I thought, Xander hasn't started watching, and Samantha's two. Oh, two! Me! It's for me! And looked up to see the crestfallen look on my wife's face as the surprise was ruined. I could just picture her face.
Who's getting the light and sound TARDIS cookie jar? Well,
He goes on to say, now I fear I won't be getting it. Sad face. Also at work, I saw a couple with a 9-year-old playing around with various trash cans. They had a round top from an indoor can on top of an upside-down large outdoor can, and I distinctly knew what they were up to. That's a Dalek costume you're working on, isn't it? Parents and child all lit up with excitement at meeting a fellow Who geek, and we gabbed for 10 minutes about the show, past costumes, Joker in Mandalorian armor, and ideas for this one. He waited until 2 weeks prior to Halloween to choose, and the crunch was on. They did promise the next time they'd stopped in, they'd show me pictures of how it turned out. Incidentally, they're not big Clara fans. Well, if they give you pictures and they allow it, send them to us if they allow it, because we'd like to show them on the show. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
2, The Forest of the Night. In the Forest of the Night. I enjoyed it. My only issues were the poor effects of the fire, tiger, and wolves, and the whole sister hiding at the end. I knew she was going to come back and all, but that was just, I don't know. I didn't care for it. If you're going to throw in a lost sister into a story, at least wrap it up better than that. Small issues aside, I really had fun with this one. If New Who is ever going to have a child companion on the TARDIS, Capaldi is the Doctor to pull it off. He bounced effortlessly from don't touch that curmudgeon to clueless caretaker. Mabe Arden. No, he spelled it M-A-I-B-B. Mabe Arden. Are you Mabe Arden? Capaldi's almost all-knowing genius, and his inability to really grasp children is an endearing and wonderful quirk. I would have to agree.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of reading a few comments in various reviews about how people hated the kids, and I did not get it at all. They were great. They had great lines and executed them flawlessly. Ruby's ex is right there, and there wasn't a forest, and now there is. Nothing surprises us anymore. Stand out among several other fantastic, really funny quips. And Danny continues to be awesome, saving them from the tiger, taking Clara's omissions about the Doctor in relative stride, and uttering possibly the most romantic line I've ever heard. One person is more amazing, harder to understand, but more amazing than universes. Knowing Moffat, this does not bode well for Danny and Clara, I'm afraid. And apologies, Glenn, but I snorted and giggled at Les Miserables, Jeff. I know, I kind of giggled at that as well. Oh, and anyone else thinking Missy is the woman who gave Clara the Doctor's number for tech support back in the Bells of St. John? I think we've already addressed that, haven't we? Maybe we haven't.
We've speculated on maybe.
Oh, okay. You mean Maeve? Sorry.
No.
A maybe.
Maybe.
Odd Duck Phil. P.S. Does episode 200 warrant the return of Jazz Hands? I will have to ask. He does them best.
Jazz hands.
That's right. Keith does it with the words. Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Because it's an audio. You got to say it.
Oh, thank you, Phil. And I'm sorry if I butchered your email. It was quite cleverly written.
It was for me. Aww. I can see maybe you have to know Phil, but I can literally see the progression of puzzlement, elation, depression. just all in, the whole roller coaster right there. Like in 5 seconds. Bam.
Oh, wow.
Finally tonight, our last bit of feedback comes from Scott. And he writes, Happy anniversary. Hello, Kansas crew. Congratulations on 200 official shows. Are you counting the side trips?
No, we're not.
We do not.
So there's actually more shows if you don't count the side trips.
Bonus content.
When Glenn mentioned Town Without Mercy last week, I had to appear. LOL. I haven't written in for a long while. I have rarely missed a show. I listen to a variety of Doctor Who podcasts, and yours is consistently one of the most fair, critical, without being too negative, and personal podcasts anywhere. I don't care what the Space Buffaloes say. Well, don't listen to them. They're stupid.
Space Buffaloes are saying things about us?
Well,
and apparently bad things about us.
All the more reason not to be a space buffalo.
You can go and buy a t-shirt.
He continues, what a contentious season. Doctor Who fans are always spread across the full range of love to hate over a story, but no one story has been universally loved or hated. I am a full-on Moffat fan. I enjoy the way he tells stories over a series. Sorry, my computer decided to scroll.
Probably because Sean keeps adding photos to Facebook.
Oh, did I do that?
No, you didn't. I touched my touchpad weird.
I'm sorry.
Are you adding photos to Facebook?
Yes.
He said that as a man busted.
I had to take a picture of Phil's email because we got the word in there, and I thought it was cool that we, By the way, Phil, your email address is now public domain.
Might want to change that. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry, Scott. I'm not meaning to hijack your thing here.
Where was I? I enjoy the way he tells his stories over a series. I know he's not for everyone, but I do wish the haters would give him some credit for making Clara even more interesting and three-dimensional, and giving us the really different Doctor, so many people said they wanted when Capaldi started. My personal top 3 stories so far have been Listen, The Caretaker, I Love the Power of Three for the same reasons, and my favorite so far, Flatline.
Oh, thank you, Scott, for citing. I wouldn't put it as my favorite, but it'd be up there in my top 3. So thank you for proving Glenn wrong.
Speaking of flats, that brings me to last night's story in the Forest of the Night. Sorry, in the Forest of the Night. It was meh. How can Danny be so casual after finding out all the lying Clara has done? And it was lie after lie he found out about. I like Danny, but he was a little too perfect this time, except for losing track of Maeve.
our fourth spelling of the night now for this kid.
M-A-I-A.
The little girl. The girl portraying the little girl, I liked. The other girls were very blah. By the way, what class was that? The little girl seemed much younger than the rest of her classmates. Wouldn't the Doctor's confrontation with the zoo animals have been a bit better if he came out with a Venusian lullaby per Tweestime?
Oh,
that would have been awesome.
Missed opportunity.
I'm sorry some people think Clara has been so cookie-cutter damsel in distress. I'd like to suggest listening to, along with, if not instead of, a couple of all-women, female-minded Doctor Who podcasts, Verity and the Impossible Girls. I'm not saying you're wrong or not entitled to your opinions, but maybe you can get something out of other women's takes on her. So, 2 to go. I'm holding back my opinions on Missy until we learn more about her, but I don't think she's necessarily evil. My one prediction is that Chesterton appears either at the very end of the two-parter or during the Christmas episode. Keep up the great work, guys. Scott from Philly.
Thank you, Scott.
Who's Chesterton? Ian?
Ian.
I think, yeah.
Have they announced this?
No. I think it's just with all the
Oh,
cool
he's just my one. Okay. I hope you're right, Scott.
Yeah.
Sorry, I read way too much into that one.
And you got to be careful, too, because tonight's episode, or In the Forest of the Night,
In the forest.
was the episode where Louise Jameson went and visited the set. And so there were pictures of that.
Really?
So, and she wasn't in the episode. So, my hope for the Katie Manning cameo at Christmas is kind of dwindled now. I'm learning that.
Now.
That's it for feedback. But I think before we move on to our review, we want to announce a special events for our 200 episodes, for listening to us and putting up with us for 200 episodes. We're going to give you something back.
Keith dug around in the prize vault.
I found some things in the prize vault. Okay,
Right?
so
hang on. I think we should give one of these away to the person that correctly spelled Maeve in their feedback.
who was that, Glenn?
The winner of that, I believe, was Holly, because according to the Radio Times cast list, which is official, her name, played by Abigail Eames, is Maebh.
All right.
Well, now, not that I don't want her to get a prize. But in fairness, do you know how many times the Radio Times misspelled Anthony Ainley's name?
Never.
Always.
No.
Yes.
That was what was submitted to him.
No, it was always misspelled because
but
they.
it was. But that's what
But
was
it wasn't
submitted
their
to
fault.
No, but it was
wasn't their
misspelled.
fault.
Not saying it was their fault. I'm not saying the Radio Times is not a
It's
reliable
because
news
they were
code.
usually doing that on purpose.
Well, of course they were doing it on purpose, but
Well,
the fact remains that they.
purposefully misspelled Maeve.
A character's name.
And it's Maeve.
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 So far off every time. It's beautiful.
Maeve.
I'm not even trying anymore. I got to keep up the gag now.
The little girl.
The little girl.
She would make such a good
Kelly.
companion.
Kelly?
He just gave up, Kelly.
May.
I'm just going to call her Kelly.
Let's got to call her May.
May.
That's
Maybe.
halfway there. Okay.
Maybe.
So, in our vault of goodies. So
You have to do the thing. You have to do the Johnny Fever thing where you talk into your glass and go deep into the prize vault.
going deep into the prize vault.
There you go.
So we're going to put aside one of these for Holly. Which Holly,
Congratulations, Holly.
Congratulations,
for spelling
you're
Maeve.
getting one of the micro figures from character building
You know, from here on
from the
out.
50th line of all doctors.
From here on out, everybody that sends feedback is going to go to the internet and find out how to really spell a name. And we'll have spelled names correctly all the way on. Hey, I can get a prize for that?
Only because it's a 200th episode.
I think we should go into the Marvel vaults and pull out the no prize. Congratulations. Here's your no prize. What is it? It's a no prize.
Yeah, but what I get? It's a no prize.
It's a no prize.
I wanted one of those so badly as a kid. I'm not going to lie.
So we have two more character building figures to give away, and these are courtesy of Who Brannigan.
Wait, what's that, Harley? You want us to open it and see what it is? Okay.
You want to know which one you're getting. So, everyone who wants to submit their name, send us an email via our website, and make sure you put in there 20th anniversary contest. That way
You
we
mean
know.
That should be
Or
the, that should be the
200th.
subject line. Probably.
The subject line,
yeah,
if
so
you
that
can,
we can flag
unless you
them.
do it through the website, then you don't get that
That's
option.
right. You don't get the option, do you?
But-
All right, I'll put it in there somewhere.
Put it,
so
put
we
it
can
in there
flag it.
before your name and your contact information so we can mail it to you.
So 200th
200th Epiversary.
Epiversary.
Keith's
Contest.
keeping track of this one. It's his turn.
It's my turn. And for our Region 2 listeners, we have something special. So sorry, anyone, I guess, if you,
You,
really...
you could win them
if
via
you want,
Region 1.
If you want these in the Region 1, go ahead and mention it in your email. But otherwise, we're going to assume if you're UK, include that also, so that you can play these DVDs
We have some Region 2 DVDs.
We have some Region 2
that we're
DVDs.
giving away.
3 individual discs that you can get. Do you think we should sign these before we send them to them?
Oh, yes, let's.
No, let's not.
We can sign the case so we don't ruin anything.
We'll sign a note card and include it in
There
there.
I would
Okay.
sign a note card. That would be okay.
Well, I just thought they were not going to get a full set, so it's like one disc. So
Oh, I guess that's
let's
true.
make it collectible.
Like anybody wants our signature.
One person.
One
did
person
once.
did.
Well, yeah, we did have one person ask
And if
for
you're
an
still
autograph.
listening, thanks.
Yeah, let us know what you did with that if you're out there.
So it's Series 5, Volume 1, which includes the 11th Hour, Beast Below, and Victory of the Daleks. Series 5, Volume 2, which includes Time of Angels, Flesh of Stone, and Vampires of Venice. And Series 5, Volume 3, which includes Amy's Choice, The Hungry Earth, and Cold Blood.
So you get half the series.
I like how Keith picks
Nope.
this, and they're all 11 Doctor stories.
Nice twist there.
I got to twist that knife every chance
You're
I
surprised.
get.
They're lucky I'm getting rid of them. They're lucky I'm letting them go.
That's true. This
That's
is
how
a-
special these are.
That's true. It is
Now,
a unique collectible.
These aren't sealed copies. By
These
the
are
way.
not sealed
Yeah.
copies, and they are.
Well, they could be.
Each. We can reseal them for
true.
you if
I,
you really want.
I have a shrink wrapper.
So,
Oh, we could laminate them.
You can't get into them.
Dear Vortex boys, received DVD in the mail. Can't figure out how to open the plastic wrap.
so
Disc won't
each
play. Appears to be an error bubble.
one entry per person, and it's for one item. So we have 5 items now to give away.
Yeah.
So remember, if you're Region 2 compatible, let us know. If you're Region 1 and just want one of these cool collectible DVDs, just let us know.
Maybe you have a region-free DVD player.
Or if you just want it on your shelf because
Yeah.
it's Matt Smith.
Because it's cool. That's really cool.
They do have really
covers
cool
on them.
artwork.
I like the covers.
Region 2 is cool.
I
Late-
wouldn't buy any volumized, so I would never get them, but because I always like the box sets. But
Yeah. Later,
They're neat.
I'll try to take a picture and post these on our Traveling the Vortex
Let's do
Twitter
that,
account
yeah.
and website to remind everyone of the contest.
That
That will probably come after the
should we
episode.
disqualify people that don't put specifically? What'd you say? What they have to write in there?
200th Epiversary contest.
Oh,
Okay.
no. They have to write 200th Bicentepiversary contest
Bicentepiversary.
and spell it correctly to be eligible.
Oh, now don't make them spell
You're the
it
one that's making them
correctly.
spell stuff correctly to get prizes.
No, you don't have to spell that correctly.
It's a made-up word. I don't think it matters.
We'll take what Keith said or what John said, but
Either
you
way,
have to put it in there.
Let us know it's for the contest.
The reason we want is because it makes it easier for us to flag them if it's
So how long should we give people to submit their 201, or should we give them a little bit?
Let's do 202. Let's give them 2 weeks.
202.
Because some
2
people,
weeks.
some people may not listen right away,
Yeah.
and if this doesn't show up on the server tomorrow, then we may have to make it 203.
So
Assuming Foxes hasn't canceled us. By episode 202.
So you have 2 weeks to make your submissions.
and we will put them all in a fez and draw them, like we did with the other one.
Draw those names. So everybody
So
gets a
submit
fair
'em.
chance. What are you whispering to me, Sean? Off camera or off mic?
I mentioned
He did.
it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
The minifigures are courtesy of Who Brannigan.
Oh,
We'll say it again so that Sean heard it. So, like other listeners that may not have heard it,
That's who
listeners
they're from.
Like Sean.
thank you for donating stuff for us to give away.
Okay, that's that. So
Good luck.
I just Googled
may the odds be
Bicentepiversary,
ever in your favor.
and it did not match any documents. So I don't think they're going to be able to spell it correctly.
Well, we got to include it in our show notes.
Ooh.
Or make it a challenge and they have to go to Sean's Twitter post to figure out how.
I can't take credit for it. It's all on Duck Phil.
Doug Phil gets the credit. All right. Do we have anything else special going on for? We got a song for our 200th anniversary. Well, for feedback, we got prizes,
Got Jazz Hands?
jazz hands.
The Return of the Space Buffalo?
Was there any other requests? Did nobody else have any other requests that we missed?
Not that I'm aware of.
We got Merca mentioned in the show. Serendipity, Tangent. Wow, we're just running the gamut of all the stuff.
Those of you with a bingo card.
Congratulations. You probably blacked out this week.
Just for good record, Lost, Buffy, Battlestar Galactica. I'm trying to remember what else is on
Star Wars, Firefly, The Pond.
Across the pond.
Across the pond. For those of you scratching your head going, what? I don't know, what was that, episode 11?
It was pretty early.
Go way deep into the Traveling the Vortex vaults.
For that. Chrissy gets praise and credit
She
for
designed
that.
it. Okay. In the forest of the night. One morning.
See bingo card number 2 coming soon.
One morning in London and every city and town in the world, the human race wakes up to the most surprising invasion yet. The trees have moved back in. Everywhere land and a forest has grown overnight and taken back the earth.
Eh.
Meh.
No.
I think I agree with most of our feedbackers that this is kind of a mass story.
I
It
really
wasn't bad.
wanted to like
It's
this
a very
one.
cool idea.
I didn't dislike it.
It just started off as a very cool idea.
It's just kind of there. It really is just kind of there.
It wasn't particularly well thought out in my mind.
Well, yeah.
Who was it that said that it felt like filler? Because that's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
It felt like a short story
It
that
felt
was
like
just
they
kind of
needed-
dragged
They
out.
needed to
or something.
maneuver a few chess pieces into position, character-wise, for the finale.
There
and
were
that's
some
pretty
there
much-
were some big moments in this, I think. I mean, there was important to the overall arcing story of what we've been developing, or I'm not taking credit, what Stephen Moffat has been developing for this series. It had some key moments in it. Maybe important is even kind of exaggerating it, but there were some key moments in this. And I agree that the Doctor certainly should, if anybody could have a child companion and make it really interesting, it would be the 8th Doctor. Or, what, 8th Doctor?
Yes,
12th
yes,
Doctor.
he would.
Well, that, yes,
Yes.
too. But the 12th Doctor, yes, would be a prime candidate for some very interesting stories with a young companion.
You know, it's interesting because we've talked over and over and over again about how much we wanted to see Matt Smith with a child because he's
childlike.
don't go there because he's on the same mental wavelength. It seems like that. You know, we just always have talked about how great his Doctor would be with a child companion and how awesome that would be. And now that they've kind of gone older, I was a little concerned with the initial interaction. You know, when he leans out and he's still being Grumpy Bear Doctor, and, well, you need an appointment to see the doctor. I was like,
The little girl who's being chased.
she's being chased through the woods. She asked for you by name. Matt Smith landed and immediately picked up on the fact that there was a child crying somewhere on Spaceship UK. You know, so you I don't know. But then I was okay with it. It's, you know, okay, we got past that road bump and got into the meat of it. There was so much this I wanted to like. The genius line when the news reports are coming in and the guy's talking about the soccer teams, and then he goes, "The pitch may not be ready in time." Oh, awesome. I felt it was telegraphed. I knew immediately that, well, the trees are not malevolent. They're good guys.
That
They're
was
going
the
to protect
problem.
us
Was
from
is
this.
that I felt it made the Doctor and Clara and Danny and everybody else look really stupid when we come across the guys trying to burn the trees and they can't burn the trees, and all along we're talking about a solar flare.
Yeah.
And my first thought right after that was, oh, so the trees are going to protect the planet from a solar flare. That's what they're there for. And then they hadn't even really gone down the whole the trees are going to kill everybody idea even at that point yet. It wasn't until later they started developing that whole the trees are the bad guys, the trees are the bad guys,
Yeah.
the trees are the bad guys.
No, you've already...
And I'm sitting there all along going, you've given that up already. We already know that the trees are there for good. So you're not fooling anybody when telling this story because I know already. And and the Doctor discovers it so late in the game that it was almost insulting.
Yeah. And I like it when we get a Paul McGann, oh, stupid doctor moment where he's berating himself for,
I'm Dr. Idiot.
you know,
I did like that line, though.
for being dumb because he's figured it out way too late. But normally those come while I still haven't figured it out. So the fact that he has now figured it out and he's now going to let me know what's going on, I appreciate that as a viewer or listener. Capaldi was just, dude, we're way ahead of you here. And even Mel was like, what is all this running about? Because the trees are going to protect the Earth from the solar flare. I was like, yeah, that's kind of where I think they're going with it. I'll be disappointed if that's where they go with it. I mean, it's a cool idea, but that was a 5-minute episode. That was a mini-sode.
They fully invented the what's the word I'm searching for? The tense moments with the animals. They fully invented that just to stretch this episode out.
Absolutely.
To me. Now, I will be the first to admit that when they had wolves and Maeve is in this red outfit with a hoodie, and I went that whole Little Red Robin Hood motif, that direction they were going with it. And I thought, oh, okay, this is where they're going. This is kind of what they're trying to drive home. They're doing a little bit of a parallel. And then, no, we go way off in a whole other direction.
I did like the scene with the wolf eyes.
Yeah. And the exploration
but
also.
I agree that the special effect was horrid.
Well, after that, once they came out,
well,
it was
even the eyes looked really bad to me.
You think so?
Yeah, it looked really bad. It reminded me of one of those cartoons where all the lights go off and all you can see are the character's eyes, and then other eyes open up, and that's the menacing things in the dark.
the Scooby-Doo.
You know, and it's a little like Planet of the Daleks too, when you see all the eyes on the hill, you know, and then they just kind of blink out. You know, it's.
It'd be scary if they like Capaldi eyebrows. Chuck Jones, get on that one.
I didn't, I don't want to make it sound like I hated this episode because I didn't hate it in any way. It's just kind of this middling episode that just kind of is there, and really felt like we needed to say a few more things or hit a few more key notes before we get to the 2-part finale. So it's just kind of there as a filler. It really, the whole time, I was sitting there thinking, this really feels like a filler episode. It just feels like we had one extra episode here to do something with, and this is what we did with it.
If this had been a 50th anniversary ebook story, it'd have been brilliant.
I don't know about brilliant, but it would have been much better.
Because it would have been, it would have been concise and to the point. We could have cut out all the running about with the animals and got to the meat of the story and got to the end of it. It would have been one of those, wow, what a cool idea.
No, because Sean would have gone, no, that was just too short. They should have they could have done more with this. No, I'm just kidding.
No. This is...
No, that was enough.
Yeah, that was... I don't know. Like I said, I didn't hate it. It just kind of laid there. It didn't really do anything for me.
And
it wasn't that it was a bad episode. It wasn't that it wasn't enjoyable to watch.
Capaldi was great in every scene he was in.
He was. And I enjoyed the kids. I enjoyed all the kids. Now, here's my question. I know everybody's singing the praises of Maeve. But so if this is the class for the, what was it, the gifted and... Special or however
yeah,
Clara,
but it was something that Clara had made up.
Yeah. Well, and you get the based on the teacher stories that we're getting. You know, well, he never says please because his first reaction is to flip a desk over and storm out. And
anger management.
The anger management. And you kind of get the impression that maybe these are the kids that are a little troublemaker.
Well, they are
kind of stuff.
That's clearly what they are. That's
so
why
where
Clara
was
makes
Courtney?
Where was she? When was she ever really a troublemaker, though?
She called herself.
She called herself a troublemaker.
I guess she did. Although she was much older than a lot of these kids
too. So maybe that was.
I get the impression they're a younger.
Because she totally should have been there.
Would have sped up the plot too much. That's another.
Well, yeah, we needed to back things off a little bit. I love the line about the. I didn't like the way this was shot either. I love the line about when he keeps trying to get somebody to say the bigger on the inside and trees grew up overnight where nothing really surprises us anymore. and he's very flustered with that.
Oh, and even Maeve at the beginning, where I thought it was supposed to be, so I didn't say anything.
Yeah, when the camera's following them around the upper deck, and it's like, okay, I realize you kind of had to use the fisheye just to get that shot to work, because of the way the TARDIS set is constructed, you can't do it otherwise. But it looked really weird.
It was too obvious.
And it was too obvious that you were doing that. And then when we got into it, all of these bizarre shots with the Doctor leaning in close to the camera and the kid's reaction, and the Doctor leaning in close to the camera and the kid's reaction as he's hunting for Maeve. It's like, this was kind of ham-handed in the way that it was put together, I thought.
That's a very good way to describe it.
And I think that kind of helped or detracted from the overall presentation to why I maybe thought, this isn't the greatest thing. I really wanted to buy into the, oh, wow, look, there's trees in Trafalgar Square, and it felt like we were in an arboretum and we imported a couple of fake styrofoam pieces of architecture to make it look like this had been overrun. I didn't get a big epic
There like
scope.
almost wasn't enough pavement underneath.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something not quite right with
Well,
the
not only
forest
do
setting.
these trees...
And you know
not
me, how
burn.
often do I not talk about production design on Doctor Who?
Not only do these trees not burn, but they obviously can grow up through pavement
Yeah.
or plant themselves through pavement. That was a bit weird, but...
I think part of why it kind of fell flat for me, especially when it got to the end and there's this solar flare coming, it felt in the same season that we got Time Heist, it felt a little bit too much like a retread. I don't know.
He even mentions, he says it's just like the one that took out.
Actually, I'm glad that he did
At least he
mention it, because if
mentioned
they
it.
hadn't mentioned it, then I'd have felt that it was just a retread. But by mentioning that, it almost qualified.
But it felt like, okay, I've got this cool idea of the forest takes over the city. What? And then they're like, well, what's the threat other than that? Why has it done it? I don't know. Well, we just did this story about a solar flare, and maybe it grew up to create an air bubble around the Earth to protect it. It's an okay idea. It's just that once you start thinking about it, it kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
And I did like the exploration of why that she was afraid of the woods and how this has happened before, and genetic memory is why there's those stories and why you're afraid of the woods. That's a really cool idea.
Hey, what were the little fairy things?
I don't know. Tree mites.
What were they, though? What was the point of
Fireflies?
that? That was what was talking to Maeve, obviously.
Yeah. It was, I guess,
It sort of felt dropped in there to me.
You know
to
the
give
things
an
when
explanation.
Groot goes and all the little lights come out? They were those.
Am I crazy, though?
It kind of came
No.
It came across kind of like it was the spirits
Am I
of the
crazy?
trees.
Yeah.
Didn't they just
Kind of
have
like-
something similar to that in one of the comics we read? One of the 10th or 11th Doctor comics?
I think you read further than that then. Not in the ones we read.
Somewhere there was these little fairy things that were only there. You could only see them at certain times. I swear it was the 10th Doctor story, the first one that Titan did.
Not that I remember.
Not that I remember.
Just it had this familiarity to me, recent familiarity to me.
And it was
And it wasn't
we-
the group.
we
Because
got-
when you said that, I thought, well, maybe, no, that wasn't it.
when we got to that scene, I thought, oh, well, Dr. Levin in the wardrobe kind of works. Because there were kind of this hovering, glowy star-like things over the forest there, too.
Yeah, I got another one.
Well, and the whole time, they're very, well, the doctor's, or the forest is invading, it's bad, blah, blah, blah. I kept thinking of the forest of Chim.
Yeah.
Who, they're traced their lineage back to Earth, and they weren't evil at all, so why would these? I mean, it's a cool idea, it just needed better development.
And not one dropped line about a crinoid.
Yeah.
We've got all this vegetation everywhere, and the Doctor didn't say, oh, wait, no, that's not this. Yeah, I just... It's like it was a... I'm going to go here. It's like it was a Doctor Who episode that was written by a guy who had never seen Doctor Who. because he had this kind of cool little sci-fi concept, and then they asked him to expand it in an episode and include these characters, and he really didn't know anything about how to do that. So he gave us this story, and then I imagine somebody else came along and kind of brushed it up and inserted some dialogue for Clara and Danny to say, and then they said, okay, we're done with this episode, and turned it in. It felt very...
Was this a co-write with...
No. It felt very unfinished. It just didn't feel like it was quite all there. It wasn't a solidified... It was a nugget, but it wasn't a...
Well, and we got to the end, and I thought, well, that wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was a little above meh until the reveal of the sister.
Yeah.
And that just made no sense at all.
Yeah, just tacked on.
She'd been gone for how long, and then suddenly she appears in the trees?
Yeah, that was bizarre.
What?
So that was,
that was a way to give a fairy tale ending without
totally agree.
any thoughts at all.
Was the tree shrub that she was, hiding in, did it grow up to protect her from something?
And then why was she there so long?
Yeah.
And was
she coming home? Is that why she was there? They needed something more than, I knew you'd come back.
Or now we've bestowed the tree fairies with even more magical powers of, we've restored your sister to you. And honestly, I haven't read that far into it.
Yeah, that must be issue 2.
No, this is the first issue.
What?
No.
Yes. No, I don't recognize that panel at all.
Keep going back.
I'll go back to the first.
That's 2.
That's 2.
Is it?
Look at the title.
Oh, it is number 2. All right. Well, that's why I recognize. You guys hadn't read issue number 2. I didn't realize I had read that.
I was waiting until we got closer to review.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was gonna lump them all together.
All right. Well, there's why I have issue, because something very similar happens in the second. He puts this helmet on her, and she's able to see these things here. They feed into human emotion, empathy, and exchange. They're an archetypal good vibe, and they give out, and they. Yeah, okay. Well, that's where I got this from. No wonder you guys didn't recognize it. It was so similar to that it felt like a ripoff to me. So,
I did really like the last scene with the Doctor and Clara on that balcony after somehow the trees magically disappeared.
Here's my problem, though, with that.
With the Humanity Forgets, it fixes so much of RTD's error.
Well, that's probably true, but I don't think it was even... I don't think it was... I think the Humanity Forgets was just isolated to these type of events, though.
Big global events.
And that was my other thing.
Trees.
As I'm watching... Yeah, trees. No, not global events. I'm talking about this event that has happened, obviously, before. Yeah. So, the whole episode I'm sitting here going, okay, how do you RTD this one? How do you write this one out?
Can't.
Everybody's just seen this globally. We know it's globally
and
because we've seen it all over the
infrastructure.
Look at all this that's happening, and it's like, wait a minute. How will nobody remember this, and how can you set this in a quasi-similar world to what we experience today? Because they always sort of step in line with reality, and as we know it. But then they threw that line in there, and it was almost all right, I will accept that. At least you've given me an explanation, and you didn't walk away from it and not answer it. But it was such a weak explanation.
I'd rather they walked away from it and not answered it, because it would have given them the opportunity to go back and reference this episode in later episodes, if for no other reason than just to say
50-foot Cyberman walking through Victorian London and nobody notices.
But okay, well, Humanity Forgets. They did before. Okay, I'll give you that one from the standpoint that, it was however many years ago, the Tunguska Blast, and it was the 1912, 10, somewhere. I mean, it was early century. And you're going to look it up now and prove me how wrong I am on that date. But
I don't remember it being that recent. But
whenever it was very, very early in the technological history of mankind.
1908.
1908.
Okay.
Ghostbusters, the Tunguska Blast of 1908. Thank you, Dan Aykroyd. So I'll buy that one because it was early enough that, and it's in a remote location. It was in Siberia.
Right, exactly.
Okay, this is
and one was in Brazil, too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
this is a worldwide, global event in all the major cities. You've got news coverage of it. It's archived. You can't back off of that one. And now here's the big problem. We've discussed this previously on this podcast. How many times has the Earth been destroyed by solar flare activity?
Yeah, it's true.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well,
in Doctor Who, specifically.
Right.
We've got...
that's the whole reason they're on the space whale.
The space whale episode was solar flares. The Ark in Space was because of solar flares. So we've got all of these previously documented occasions where Earth's been wiped out by a solar flare. But apparently we have a defense mechanism for that.
Talk about your continuity issue.
Now there's a problem, and it's that bothers me more than the Earth being wiped out 4 times over. Because I can accept that the solar flare came on and wiped everything out, and then we just restarted and kept going.
Right,
I could buy that.
Oh, you can almost even also in those instances consider it the same solar flare. We're just seeing different people at different times post flare. Like from the Ark in
Could be.
Space.
I don't remember the. I'd have to
Ark
dig
in
up.
Space was future still.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'd have to
mean,
look up and see exactly how many X number of years down the road it is.
I can at least fudge that a little bit.
But yeah, it's just so now you've given me this. People will forget. No, we won't. We have it on YouTube. It will be there with cat videos forever, or until the next solar flare does come and wipe us out. I don't know. It just and the magical tree sprite. I mean, I appreciate the idea of a Gaia or guiding spirit. That doesn't bother me. In Doctor Who, that doesn't bother me. Wouldn't it have been kind of cool, though, if this had been, if you're going to go this route, I don't know, make it like a Silurian defense system that auto-activates?
That would at least make it make more sense, other than the trees somehow know a solar flare is coming.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of little things that we're like, I don't know if I buy that. The Danny Clara stuff I liked for the most part, but I'm almost tired of it now.
Yeah, well,
Almost.
I'll tell you what, that was one of the things that I did like was the fact that Danny didn't go off on her because he had every right. She was hiding something from him. She's been hiding something from him. And more importantly, she's been lying to him.
Yeah.
And so he really kind of took it in stride and turned that whole situation on its ear. And I almost appreciated the handling of it because he does recognize that he's very bothered by the fact that she's lying to him. But he also understands that it's part of her life, part of what makes her who she is, and is waiting for her to deal with it. He's not making the decision. He's not dealing with it for her. He's waiting for her to make the decision herself, to deal with it herself. And so I almost appreciate that they didn't go down that road of, well, I just don't want to be with you anymore at this point. It was one of those. Okay,
I give up. I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
It was refreshing to not see a blow up. It was refreshing to not have him deliver an ultimatum. It's me or the doctor, because that very easily could have been the way that we wound up going with it. And so I like the fact that he's still approaching this from this. You've got to, you'll figure this out, and I will be here for you when the time's right. And I kind of like the fact that when he finally says, "All I want is the truth," I think I deserve that. And she says, "Okay," so he goes, "Not now."
Yeah,
I like the fact that we didn't get an off the cuff. Because coming from Clara this season, it would have felt like another lie, even if she was completely honest with him. Even if she sat there and told him, I realize I'm kind of, it's an addiction at this point. Even if she actually came out and used those words in lieu of the last episode, it would have felt like a lie coming on top of everything else. So I'm kind of glad that they left that for an off-camera moment. That it's just going to be something that, that they're dealing with relationship-wise. I thought that was cool and well handled. Unfortunately, came couched in the rest of this episode. Which again, coached. Sorry. Which was not horrible. It just was kind of meh. And I think, in a way, that's saying something for Season 8. Because whether you have loved these episodes or have hated these episodes, you've gotten a very emotional response one way or the other all season long. And then we finally get, at episode 10, I don't think it was necessarily crafted this way on purpose, that it was going to be the breath before the oncoming storm of Cybermen. But once they had all the episodes done, I can see why they maybe put this one where they put it in the scheme of airing. Of course, they still wrote them, this way. But I don't know. It's so many little things that just didn't quite add up to make a complete whole picture. And I could go on. I could nitpick a lot of this.
And that's why I'm remaining silent for most of this discussion, because I don't want to nitpick it, because it's just there. It's really just
an
what
episode.
I've just kind of accepted it, that it's just a May episode. It's there.
So here's something
And
interesting.
there were good things. I mean, I don't want a town called Mercia. there were good things about it. We're kind of completely offset by the not so good things. I wanted to like it. I didn't.
I don't know if I missed it in the episode, but according to TARDIS Wikia, this is set in 2016.
No, I heard him say that.
Did he?
I heard him say 2016, and I went, what?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What?
So I wonder if this whole season, present day, has been 2016.
I don't know.
Yeah, he said that, and I was
they've
going
been
to bring that up, and I'm glad you saw
Or
that.
they've been
because
together longer than we realized.
He said that it was 2016. He did. I can't remember exactly what the line was. Well, he was equating the I think he had mentioned the other events, and then he says in 2016 the London something, which I thought was weird because he isolated it to London while it was worldwide. So it wasn't really even. Yeah. So there you go. Speculate about that. What that means.
Well, okay, so either A, we've moved the goalpost forward, which I don't have a problem with, just near future. Okay.
It is a story. It is a show about time travel.
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. Or B, as you pointed out, maybe Danny and Claire have been together for a lot longer than...
Well, and who knows how many travels
that's
there's
moving the
been.
goalposts as well. If you're trying to broaden there.
She could have been traveling with the Doctor way longer between last week
But
and
there's
this
clearly
week.
been a lot of...
There's been at least one adventure because she left
I
notebooks.
think you have to be real careful about framing it in that way, because they could have 200 adventures in
Well,
the
that's
time
true.
span of a present day hour.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, as far as time travel goes. So.
Yeah.
I think when you frame it around the development of their relationship, it almost makes more sense, so that you can say, this is how it was when we first met. This is how we've only had 10 episodes. So how do you develop a relationship? Well, you move the goalposts and you say, well, it looks like perhaps they've been together for about 3 or 2.5 years.
Well, and if that's the case, it also kind of helps explain why he doesn't go off about the lying and can kind of swallow it and take it better in stride, because he has way more
been dealing with
invested
it
in
longer.
it. Yeah.
Or no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he's
Way more invested in it.
That-
Is truly committed to this.
and that's another thing that bothered me, is he got up and stormed out of a restaurant on their first date when he found out she was lying to him. But it was quite a different reaction now.
This
So if
time,
there has
yeah.
been 2.5 years or 2
That helps
years
fix that
between,
character
it does kind of
thing,
it fixes
and
that
that
issue.
fixes a little bit with some of because we know that the caretaker, they're on their second date when she makes the comment, words not quite in the right order, but you got them there.
I don't remember if it was the caretaker, but yeah. I
Uh,
remember that
one
scene,
one of
yeah.
them, he specifically says date number 2.
Yeah.
But then I think it was the next episode where all of a sudden it felt like,
Well, they jumped to love pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we were complaining that, well, this seems like a really rushed relationship here, but maybe it's not rushed, because maybe there is.
By dropping 2016 in there and dating that episode, and maybe
Yeah.
it kind of
Maybe
fixed
there
that.
is some additional time, and it was just last week that she's finally getting around to moving some things into his place, a toothbrush and whatnot, and that would also explain why Courtney wasn't around for this particular field
Yeah,
outing,
I mean,
because
she
she's
could've-
graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that's really interesting.
quite possible. Though.
Now, discounting all of that, can you think of any other reason why the writer would choose to drop that line?
No.
Unless it was, well, I don't know anything about Doctor Who, but they say it's a show about time travel, so I'll put it in the future.
No, I think you're underselling the writer a little bit.
That's very unfair.
Yeah.
But other than just, Sometimes you do things like that where you put it in the near future just because you can. Well, why not? It doesn't have to be present day. You will put this in the near future. But normally with those, you're not dealing with an ongoing relationship, continuing cast of characters, etc. It's just we've landed on Planet X in the near future.
It was Frank Cottrell Boyce. This is his first Doctor Who story.
Well, you can tell.
Directed by Sharif Folks.
It's strange.
Folkson, also first Doctor Who story.
It's strange that Moffat didn't have a
co-writing
credit on this, because really what it feels like is a writer that brought probably a much better idea to tackle, and it got just basically shunted down to what it ended up being.
You think it's the reverse?
That's what it feels like.
You think it's not that it was the nugget of the idea that we had to cram all this other stuff in? You think it's that he had this great idea and we chopped it all out to put this stuff in?
Yeah.
That,
I'd like to think so.
That could be, because that very much, it really, on parallel, this feels very much in kind of the same vein as Nightmare in Silver did. It has that there was something really kind of cool going on here that just fell apart and didn't work.
What was it?
Well, and that
Full Circle, that the same thing happened to.
Suffers a little bit from
J&T got a hold of it and just really kind of chopped it all to heck.
Yeah.
Well, and suffering from the penultimate episode syndrome. Essentially, if you consider the next to the finale, it's got to put pieces in place for that, so the story tends to not be as good, because you have to fit those pieces and make it work.
And maybe Moffat didn't put
part of why I think Nightmare in Silver was.
Maybe Moffat didn't put a co-writing credit on it because he felt a little guilty that he chopped it down so much. That he thought, well, I want to give him props for the concept.
Possible.
Although if I were the writer, I would rather you put your co-writing on there so that people go,
let's share
but that was Moffat's idea.
Let's share the blame here as well as the credit. I don't know. That's an interesting idea. Maybe we've been looking at this the wrong way. And maybe this is one, in all fairness, maybe this will be one that once we get through the finale, we'll go back and rewatch the season and go, I get it now.
I think it serves well for the story arc overall. It falls down as an individual episode, because you could go back to almost every episode this year, and even though they all have elements of the overarching storyline, and heavily this time, to me, in my opinion, more so than any year we've ever had, I think that perhaps you could watch any of the episodes stand alone without having to watch one or the other ahead or behind it. And so this one is the only exception to that. I don't think you could just sit down and watch this episode.
Yeah.
But I think it serves the entire story arc, because it does wrap them things up. And as I said, I'll still maintain that it had some key elements in it that were important to get us to where we're going to be on a two-part series finale.
I'd agree with that. I mean, I can't think of another episode this season that has totally felt like it didn't build up to the... Especially if we're still going with, the idea of immortality or something, which the trees certainly kind of lended to that. But I don't know. Any thoughts on Missy's last comment about, well, I didn't see that coming, or is that how she phrased it?
You're paraphrasing, but it was along those lines. Yeah.
Well, that was a surprise, and I like surprises.
Yeah.
It does give off the impression that maybe she somehow created the solar flare.
Which, if we go that route, suddenly fixes the fact that we've had two solar flares. Because if you have the technology to do it once, why not more than once to engineer things that you need to happen in that particular order?
Well, and I've been giving it the benefit of the doubt that there's a reason why there were two solar flares, so that would work for that, yes.
So who do we know that could control solar flares? Who can't do it? Space Buffalo.
Sean, you want to tackle what's coming up on the schedule?
I will tackle what's coming up on the schedule. Next week, or this Friday, for Halloween. Won't really be on Halloween. It'll be Saturday. Yes, I know. Friday Night Who, we're doing the first 4 parts of The Invasion with Patrick Troughton, now with animation. Yay.
Yay, animation.
Now with animation.
Now with animation.
This version has always had it.
Yeah, that's true. We've actually never done. We've reviewed the story. We've never actually done this one for Friday Night Who. So, and I don't think it's available anymore, is it? We decided that it wasn't. So, hopefully you've got it or can get a copy and join us for that, because I think it'll be a lot of fun. Sorry it wasn't something a little more Halloween-centric, since we actually got a Friday Night Who on Halloween this year, but we wanted to do Cybermen because, well, if you saw the Next Time on Doctor Who trailer, oh man. Can I tell you how excited I am for next week? Who was it that said that? It was like, let me tell you about In the Forest of the Night. Wow, next week's looks really good.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with this, because the trailer came up and I was like, oh. And the way some of that was done, and her saying time can be rewritten, man, I almost don't wonder if we're not going to revisit The Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
That may, I don't know, because maybe that's too grandiose, but, you know, it's not just enough to actually put Cybermen on the steps of, but maybe it's the actual
next step further.
Yeah, we're going back to 1960 something, and here's the Cybermen. And it's like, oh, that would be so cool. Probably not, but you know. Anyway, so we'll be talking about Dark Water on the show next week, which is
Packer.
Maeve.
Scorby!
Yeah, give anything else we want to throw in there? So we'll be talking about that on the show next week. And then the first Friday of November, the 7th, we'll be finishing up The Invasion, parts 5 through 8, and then finishing up with Capaldi and Death in Heaven with episode 12. We just had a meeting pre-show and solidified the rest of the schedule through the end of the year. So you can expect some more Big Finish coming up, along with a couple of stories that we've not tackled yet. So I know you're all going to be looking forward to that. And some more ebooks coming, obviously. We've got to finish those out or whatnot. So I will get that posted on the website and the new server. And hopefully you'll be able to see it. And hopefully you'll be able to listen to this.
We know that part's running and that we can update that one.
Hopefully you'll be able to listen to this and know that I've done that.
All right. Anything
So
else
there's
this
that.
week? Anything else for our 200th epiversary? Bicentepiversary?
Bicentepiversary.
We should probably
Bicentepiversary.
thank a few more Patreon subscribers.
Let's do
Mish and Alex.
Mish? Did you really just call Michelle Mish?
Mish, that's what she put.
I know, but it's
Michelle.
Michelle.
Thanks, Mish. Well,
Thanks, Mish.
Thanks, Michelle and Alex for
It's Mish.
Mish.
Well, she does have an H at the end of that one, so that's correct. Following the new guidelines. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Alex.
We had one other this week.
She did twice.
No, we had another one.
Alex,
and then we had Mish, and then you tell me Brittany?
Am I
crazy?
Seen that one?
No,
Could have swore you told me Brittany.
no, we had Caroline last week, and then Alex, and then Mitch.
And then you said Brittany, and I said, I
she
didn't
said
see
then
Brittany's.
feedback.
Oh, feedback is what you're referring to. Well, you too can become a Patreon somebody else want to take this?
Subscriber.
Thank you.
It's on our website.
Supplier, I guess. That's where I was going with it. Yeah, you can be our supplier.
If you don't want to donate through that, there is now a new T-shirt design on Spreadshirt.
One that Keith submitted.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Very long
Talking
time
about
ago.
going back into the vault.
Also a throwback.
It's special for our 200th anniversary Bicentepiversary.
And if you order now, you might be able to get it for next week.
How's that for timing? You may not be able to get the DVD, but you can get the T-shirt.
And Glenn caught up. Well, this is from that episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's the
I just,
inspiration.
it was just Cybermen. I didn't put that together with it. That it's actually from.
It's Bob.
It's yeah.
Bob Lives.
Bob Lives.
If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Once again,
If you don't know the reference, go back several years ago to Sean's short story, because that was the inspiration.
At least 100 episodes ago.
Yeah.
long ago.
More than.
How's that for some serendipity?
Yeah. Once again, thank you to obviously our Patreon supporters. Thank you to our listeners. We've kind of said it before. We don't think we'd be here without you. I mean,
We wouldn't be here.
Well, we'd be here talking about this stuff, but nobody
we
would
wouldn't
be
be
listening.
on the internet.
We wouldn't be on the internet and having a good time with it, and we'd probably be a lot angrier with each other.
Well, this probably wouldn't happen as frequently because
yeah.
we'd sit down and talk about stuff all the time. But this kind of, I don't want to say forces because I don't want it to sound like it's a chore because it's not. But it really challenges us.
Avenue.
It challenges us to sit down every week and talk about it. Something that we enjoy to do, and have the added bonus of having people to listen to us other than just us three.
And to hear from those people.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm exceptionally grateful for this because it gives me time with you guys, first and foremost, which is great. And it gives us time with our listeners, even though it's in that kind of halting, written in, not necessarily live way. So you're all going to have to come to a convention or something so that I can hug you.
If it wasn't for this, you would never have gone to Gallifrey. I probably wouldn't have ever gone to
I wouldn't have known about Gallifrey. You
gotten to
hold
Gallifrey.
out on me.
We wouldn't have the community involvement that we've had with the show, just even on a local level that we have now. I mean,
Keith probably still wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't be in the show.
He'd have found it eventually because he's such a time travel geek.
Now, see, I thought about that coming into this tonight. It was like, I'm not going to take credit for Keith knowing everything about Doctor Who that he knows now, but
I probably wouldn't have.
We set him on the path.
Yeah.
We did, because realistically, I mean, the show had been on for 47 years.
Well, and I
he
probably
hadn't
would never have
really.
dipped into or realized the back catalog of Classic Who if it weren't for this.
I mean, I think he might have eventually got into the new series, probably through one of his other weird shows. Like I was watching Continuum and Orphan Black, and they kept showing this trailer for this thing called Doctor Who. And have you guys ever watched this?
Were you as connected with British television, though?
I wasn't then either.
This,
I probably wouldn't have found Orphan Black.
So see, who knows?
Doctor Who's opened a lot of doors.
Yeah.
In that
aspect. But so that's definitely something, and obviously we've got, as you pointed out, Galley and stuff. So I'm grateful just for my own sense of, it's given me an excuse. I get to go buy episodes that maybe I wouldn't have bothered setting aside some funds to go purchase, something outside of a couple of town bakers, or listening to the Big Finish. I might not have. I'd still listen to them because I enjoy them, but it would have been more as a curiosity and, oh, hey, I got this, or a friend loaned me this, and I listened to it, and it was really good. One of these days, I'll have to get around to listening to more. But now it's actually being able to do this. And there's been so much enjoyment on that front.
Well, I think one of the things that this has done for me as well is I thoroughly enjoy everything Doctor Who. But in my life before this, it was always kind of a casual catch-up for me, you know what I mean? I listened to a lot of the Big Finish when I discovered them for a while and fell off for other things or other reasons. And, I went back and started catching back up on Doctor Who after I had been on hiatus for myself for so many years. But this show has forced me to go back into that catalog and do those things and forced me to listen. And I'm sounding like an adverse word, but it's not. Because what it does is every time we put something on a schedule, it's a challenge for me to listen to it, and I get so much enjoyment out of it, or something to watch, and I get so much enjoyment out of it. And so it really has energized my fandom so much that I probably would have struggled to find time to enjoy had it not been for this. But this kind of activates that, and it keeps me on the forefront of the things that are going on in Doctor Who, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And it's really nice because this fandom's a nice escape from life. Not that my life's horrible, but it's, there's bills, there's work, there's other things that go on. And, well, I probably would be occupying my time to get away from those kind of things anyway. This one really kind of has driven in how much I really enjoy Doctor Who and how I'm glad that I've come back to it and found it so many years later. I mean, I'd already been on that path before the podcast, but it's really kind of nailed that home, and it's been a wonderful treat for me.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to Big Finish, having two people to sit down with and talk to about the episodes we listen to, whereas if individually we dipped into, we probably would rarely cross the same path. And this helps that after watching something, most people want to talk about it. This gives us that opportunity where in Big Finish, I listen to Gallifrey, you guys haven't. I can't talk to you guys about it. So it's kind of one of those nice, let's get everyone on the same page too, so we can all enjoy the same thing, and bigger community involvement allows better enjoyment for something.
Well, how many times have we convinced somebody of maybe reconsidering something or looking at something in a different light, reevaluating something in a different light? Yeah, that you don't get when you're doing that solely, because as soon as you're turned off by something, you're turned off by it. But if you can sit and discuss it with two people that it can kind of make you appreciate it in a different way, you kind of get a little more out of it that way as well.
And how many of our listeners have come to Classic Who with a new appreciation for some of the clunky episodes or monsters like Candyman or the Merc, obviously. It's weird, and I don't mean weird in a bad way. I mean it's weird to sit here and have this discussion and think that so many of these connections and so many of these friends and so many of these people that are in our lives right now, and very important people in our lives right now, are only in our lives right now as a result of sitting down and talking about a British television show.
Yeah.
That's kind of an absurd concept, but it's really kind of a cool one. And obviously the Five-ish fangirls have really bonded and become this, you can just look at their Facebook pages and go, oh man, these guys are... These gals are nuts, and I mean that
in a good way.
I mean that in a good way. That they're just, we're not going to take credit for that, but in a way, we kind of can take credit for that.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting and a little bizarre, kind of like Doctor Who. It's the journey's a lot like that, actually. But
quite amazing.
I don't know. I think maybe down the road, maybe we ought to do a little hard think, and we'll do a fun episode on what if Traveling the Vortex wasn't around. That would be kind of an interesting topic to tackle. We'll have everybody,
An Elseworlds project. What if?
And Earth 2.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I've decided happened here on Earth with the trees. It's Earth 2. That's why humanity forgets, because they're a bunch of pudding heads. But no, we'll have everybody write in with, what if there was no traveling vortex in your life, and how would it be different? And maybe some things are just very, very small things, like, my commute sucks a little bit more in the morning, and some of it's like, I wouldn't have these awesome friends that I found. That'd be kind of interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, well, as we inch towards 200 minutes in this show, how serendipitous would that be?
Are we there yet? Can we talk a little bit longer?
We're almost there. Well,
we got Dr. Phil's audio.
Oh, that's true. We have Dr. Phil's audio.
So maybe we'll end up with some serendipity there. All right.
Glenn will edit.
Well, if that's going to do it for this week, until next week's 201st episode, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.
Got to be